Jade Passage.
Jade Passage.
Who needs them?
I just flew in from the cyclone, and boy, am I fucking sick of this game.
Much like the cyclone, this fucking blows.
We need a fresh pair of eyes on this game. Somebody who hasn't been like going through it week after week, hour through hour, and putting like fucking 50 hours into FF2. We need somebody who can like come in and like.
We need someone who has played it within
really
the past month because
Deciding
our
to release
recording
this-
schedule has been so fucked up that
Deciding
we
to
haven't.
release this season stretched out so we could really savor the game.
Yeah, just
more.
really enjoy every bit
this,
of pain
the first
that Final
season
Fantasy
where I
II has
decided
you.
to play the game fucking twice for some reason.
Because you're a king, Carl.
I guess.
Because you're royalty.
Hey, have you guys heard of this game, Final Fantasy II? It just came out on the Switch. It's really good.
Ooh.
Who's that? Oh my god, it's Zen Archer. It's Corey.
Astute
What's
listeners
up,
may recognize this voice. We have with us Mr. Beast of YouTube, our
happy to be
favorite
here.
friend and confidant. He loves Final Fantasy II. And he loves suing.
Hey, he's putting gluten-free cookies in stores. I'm ain't complaining.
he does love to sue ghost kitchens as well.
Curing blindness and baking cookies. That's me.
But yeah, we got Corey with us again, getting in right at the buzzer.
Not a weird capitalist.
yeah.
The way you say that.
All the healing that Corey does is not weirdly exploitative somehow, but also that's a whole discussion that I don't feel like getting into.
I don't know enough
nerds-
about this topic to weigh in. I'm just gonna let it roll.
It's fine.
I'm just happy people got new eyes or whatever.
Corey does know how to smile. I will say that.
I'm smiling now. You just can't hear it.
God, I know a little bit about that too. That I don't know if I want to get into it. That's a meta strategy to get more engagement because the thumbnails look fucked up, so it draws people's attention.
You guys really need to have more fucked up thumbnails.
Yeah, for our podcast.
No, like your thumbs. You got to fuck them up more.
I put the James Hetfield Tatus one in for
that's right.
one just Tatus.
Tatus. Tatus. Tatus.
It just makes me think of like Cletus from The Simpsons. And it's,
I
Titus
love
instead.
you, Tatus.
But Tatus is not in this game.
No,
Alex, you made like a Family Guy Tita joke, right? Back in the Final Fantasy X.
Tata.
maybe? I don't know.
Tita. Corey,
No time like the present.
what do you think about Final Fantasy II?
I think the dungeons are longer than they need to be.
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
I can tell that they've made a lot of quality of life improvements that I particularly have been benefiting from.
Nice.
And I enjoyed my time playing the game.
Yeah, you played Pixel Remaster, I take it?
I did, because I'm not a masochist.
Fuck yeah, that is the
At least not when it comes to
optimal
video
one to
games.
play, in my humble opinion.
In my IMO.
In my IMO, you should play that one.
I also benefited a lot from hearing you guys talk about it because I waited so long to start that I was able to avoid like so many things. And I did the shield trick to start, so my agility was just like absurd the entire game. And so by the end, I was dual wield. Every character was dual wielding, and they had 100 evasion.
So you kind of
Wow.
nice. You kind of had the experience that I wish that like everyone, including myself, had. I think I talked about it a little bit, being like, yeah, if you know the strats and you know how to like do these things from the start, it makes the game so much more enjoyable, I assume. That's really cool. That's yeah, I mean, we'll get into it when we do wrap up, because this is probably going to be our last episode of this season.
It's the last video on the walkthrough on the YouTube.
That is how
You guys have been playing the game?
Organize it.
Yeah, we're watching the Mr. Beast playthrough. It's really fucking sick. He's got some great commentary about it.
We so the first thing we have to do, right, is we got to get to the Jade Passage. That's kind of like our first goal for the day. And it took me about 30 minutes to find the fucking Jade Passage for one major reason, and that's I forgot that if you're looking north, east means to the right and not the left.
The old Carl strat.
Yeah,
Forgetting
like,
where east is.
I thought you meant Weast.
I was like, where is it? Because like, yeah, they were talking about like pools of water and stuff, and I was like, well, maybe they mean this river. Maybe the Jade Passage opens up if you travel this river. So I kept traveling. There's a river to the west of Mysidia, and I just could not find it. I was like, what is going on? And so I looked it up online, and I was like, to the east. That's right.
I'm pretty sure that Layla also talks about a channel that is to the west of Mysidia, and it says it is the Jade Passage, and I'm like, or the Jade Channel or something.
Yeah, it's east of Mysidia.
Weird.
But I certainly did go west.
I would say that, Curtis, you just had a skill issue in general, because I found it quite easily, because I went to Sabay, Final Fantasy II guide, and looked up exactly where it was. And I did
use
Googling
Sabay's maps for this area, so
it is much more noticeable in the Pixel remaster. Like the sprite that appears, that's like a little pond or whatever. Like there's like a crater. It looks like a fucking Dragon Ball Z battle happened, and Yamcha died in it, and then it got filled with rainwater or something. In the NES, it literally just looks like a little puddle.
I was getting flashbacks to Tears of the Kingdom, looking for the goddamn tear pools that like pop in when you're like 30 feet away.
You're like, cool, I found the glyph. Where the fuck is this?
You know they're on the tier of the hieroglyph, right?
Shut up.
I did know that, but sometimes they have multiple tiers.
That's true.
But
I found you can actually encounter this by mistake, I guess, early.
Can you really?
You can't enter the Jade Passage, but there will be a message that says, like,
abandon hope, all ye who enter.
Nothing out of the ordinary here.
Pretty much. It's something like that. It was like, basically just says, like, this is some path for some...
It says this is a normal piece of ground.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of trouble finding it. Because much like when you play enough Zelda games, you walk into a room and I immediately identify all of the actionable items and like potential desires the room has for you. But like with Final Fantasy, I was like, okay, there's a continent here that I haven't been to the other end of it. So like, obviously there's something that's going to be here. I do remember the mages in Mysidia give terrible clues.
Oh yeah, they suck. They're not very good.
Do they talk about the Jade Passage now?
I think they do. I can't remember though.
If only Alex had
like
uploaded the script to FF2.
Hold on.
All the vague hints of like just fucking. Let me see. I think I have one here. I went to Mysidia. And it just said this actually might have been before I did the one part, but I just have a screenshot that's just, you've succeeded, head back to Finn, the princess awaits. And I'm like, I just fucking came from there, but I think my screenshots might be out of order.
Task failed successfully.
Oh, actually, you know what, if you talk to that bookshelf earlier that gives you all of the lore of the game, if you now go
the data
talk
logs.
to it, if you go talk to the data log bookshelf and you ask it about the Jade Passage, it does have something new to say, saying that it's the road that connects hell and this world. Continue to the castle of hell, Pandemonium.
Fuck yeah.
Sick.
I like how I think we see Pandemonium manifest, right? Like we see a shot of like when, what the fuck is the Palamacia? Is the other one?
Palamacia is the Emperor's castle, yeah.
Yeah, so when that exploded, we actually see on the overworld like another sprite take over it.
Oh,
really?
really?
We go in there. I think we went in there though, last episode.
I could be I actually did this like earlier today, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was just a weird NES
but you may be right.
or something, but like it a bigger, more intimidating looking castle appears where that is, but you can't land in
right,
there.
It explodes when Rickard tells us to evacuate, and it is taken over by a basic crystal like pyre that we can't get into except from below, we assume.
Yeah, we can only get into it from the Jade Passage, which when we find it, there's a really cool little cutscene on the pixel remaster, where more Dragon Ball Z shit kind of happens, very anime style, like explosions and stuff, and we see like a little bit of light kind of from inside a crater. Like the background is really nice. It kind of like floats down, and then we appear in front of the teleporter that will help us like get out. And then in the NES version, you just walk into a puddle, and I think you're like in a cave or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You just walk into the puddle, and then you're in the cave.
Okay, yeah. So here's the. I think if you encounter like this lake that is the Jade Passage before you're supposed to enter, the way ahead leads to a forsaken place, exists for those who may one day tread its darkened path.
Oh.
I read that like iambic pentameter.
But it's very... I actually have it in Japanese here, too. I'll drop it in the chat. I don't know if this has anything really cool.
Can you just read off the Japanese for us?
Yeah.
I feel like the Japanese might not have as much rich stark differences compared to the English fan translation or whatever. Or I guess it's the Pixel remaster, so it's the official translation. But I feel like there wasn't too much of that in this. I would assume. It's not like Final Fantasy 13 where we have like different character motivations or anything.
Just says the same thing it says in English.
Same thing. It's like don't go in here.
Oh, just that like, what lies ahead of people who enter here is a path to hell.
Sounds cool.
I do like
that's just gonna make people want to go into it more.
Don't go in here. It's super cool.
It's like the nuclear bunkers that they've theorized. Like, how do you hide nuclear material so that people in the future won't find it or whatever? And you can't put any signs up because if somebody sees like "don't go in here," they're like, "Damn, I should go in there."
You're right. We should go and find the elephant foot.
It was that it was that sci-fi author who was like, "How do we like bury something that is like." That brought so much like pain to warn alien races like what to never like dig it up again.
Right.
It's like how do you communicate like this is nothing. This is not a secret place. This is a shameful like place. It only brings death. Like do not investigate.
This is
further.
not a place of honor.
Yeah.
It's so
Let's
cool.
just put them under Yarnum in the Chalice dungeons. What could go wrong? I do like that in the NES version when you get to like the lowest point in the Jade Passage, there's just a little sign on the wall, and it says, "This is the path to hell," which I realized has the same cadence as Painkiller.
Oh.
This is the path to hell.
This is the path to hell should just be the tagline on like the NES version of FF2.
When I got to the when I got to that sign, when I got to that sign, I took a picture of it and I posted it on Twitter, and somebody retweeted it, and it just said like their retweet said, "Me when I'm about to kiss a girl from Pennsylvania." Like, this is the path to hell. But yeah, so
is there a hell in Pennsylvania?
I think there's a Satanville, Pennsylvania. I don't know if that was just a local legend or something. Yeah, no, it is a Delco
Oh, it's
thing.
in Michigan. I'm thinking of Michigan. Sorry.
There is a place in Delco called Satanville, which was a fun place to go to when we were high schoolers. And there was all kinds of those like urban legend things of like, ooh, if you sit at this bridge and turn off your lights and all of that. It's like Clinton Road in New Jersey. Yeah,
they're really pretty.
But no, my friends and I did get chased out of there by probably
Satan?
locals who are sick of people doing that shit. And just giant pickup trucks with their high beams on fucking chasing after me and my friends. And we're like, oh god, it's Satan.
It's Satan. He has an F-150. No,
really changes the
dude. Satan definitely drives an F-150.
It changes the meaning of "get behind me, Satan," because that is not a position you want to be in.
Me when I need a fluffier pillow on my couch. Get behind me, Satin.
But yeah, how'd you guys fare in the old Jade Passage? We got Mr. Evasion here, who probably didn't have any problems.
Well, what's funny is, right, it's not like perfect. It just reduces the amount of times that the enemies hit you. So I just took very, very little damage. But what's crazy is I hadn't heard about the Ultima not working. So I was trying to desperately grind Ultima up to like the level of all my other spells because I expected like, oh, it's a non-elemental spell. It'll be so useful. So I actually like made it harder on myself for no reason, just trying to grind up Ultima this whole time.
I do like that you had a true Final Fantasy II experience then, because it does work in the Pixel remaster, but in the way that like the mechanic is a cool idea, much like everything in this game, cool idea on paper, but in practice you're like, oh my god, that sucks. Like I have to get everything up to 16 and then it's like the best when I could just use the blood sword instead.
Yeah. You know what? I hate when we do this, but I am going to do this real quick. Before I start talking about the Jade Passage, can I talk about one thing you can do before the Jade Passage?
Oh yeah, I think I.
We've
think
been so
I know
bad about
exactly
that.
What you mean?
Yeah, this season.
Oh, right.
This season we've been so terrible about being like, all right, we're now in this dungeon. Also, before you go into this dungeon, did you know about this?
Yeah,
Are you talking about dice?
It's fine. If you
Yeah,
have a problem with it, please just fucking tell us. And the best way to tell us is a 5-star review on iTunes, because that shit still helps. I assume.
But yeah, I am talking about going back to Castle Dice.
Yeah, we visit, as we mentioned when we first got Rickard, we can go like dice, like, hey, check it out, a dragoon.
Yeah, we got one.
And he's like, I'll be your daddy someday, kid.
Well,
and, now he's dead.
I'll be your huckleberry.
Rickard's a liar. Yeah, because now he's fucking dead. But yeah, the lady and the kid who are at the castle are like, well, there's nothing more here for us now. I guess we'll leave. But on our way out, like, by the way, here, have the greatest sword
Here, I have no
in the
use
game.
for this.
Yeah, I have no use for this. And they give you Excalibur. Which
It reminds me
is
in
quite
Ace
the
Ventura
powerhouse.
2, when he gets like the pendant or whatever from the monk who like just wants to get rid of him and stuff, and he's just like, here, like, you can have it. And he's just like, this took you 80 years to achieve. Like, why are you giving it to me? He's like, I don't want it anymore.
I was imagining the Terrytown music when you like go recruit other people and you go talk to them and they just go walk off. Like, this little sad. Do.
I just keep thinking about the old man in the belly of the Leviathan clutching that staff. Like, you'll pry it from my dead hands.
Listen,
What
everyone
a
here's
king.
blaming the staff, and I
The
am here
Ultima
to
will
tell
soon
you,
be
it's
in my
not-
grasp. You should give him the tome.
So yeah, what's this sword that you get, Curtis?
The Excalibur.
And this is one of the arguably best swords in the game, right?
Yeah.
Now, I would say, if it's so good, why isn't there an Excalibur 2?
Oh, I guess we'll just have to see.
I will say, at this point in the game, I like, even though I make it sound like, my guys all had max evasion and stuff, they weren't so leveled up that everyone was just like naturally at 100 all the time. And I did actually get to enjoy a fun little meta game of like balancing equipment to like keep everyone's evasion up, because their HP hadn't leveled up much because I had such high evasion the whole game. So like they actually needed the evasion to be high so that they wouldn't take too much damage because they had no health.
Yeah, it's true. Like, there are several good pieces of armor in this dungeon and the next one, and I didn't equip any of them because
Really?
like they had better defense, but I was like, no, too costly on the evasion, not equipping it.
And
So-
the new characters didn't have very high shield stats or agilities, and because having high agility makes your agility go up faster. So it was really important that the new characters had very high agility so I could get them up to everyone else's level, but they also had the least amount of health. And so like it was the new character that was always the riskiest, and like keeping them balanced was like a fun little mini game to have while I was going through this tedious dungeon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, one thing that I did before this was I just did a little bit of HP leveling for Leon, because I figured I'm going to be getting my fucking ass kicked. I have no evasion anyway, so I just have to like tank through every battle. I can't run at all. So I got him up to a point where I figured he could probably survive most of the things. Like I got him to like 2,000 HP, and then he was just kind of naturally leveling up from that by staying alive, and it ended up working out and being worthwhile for me. Even though like it's Final Fantasy 2 definitely suffers from a thing of just like, oh, you put some work into this character that you like you really like Rickard or you really like Layla, and now you just don't have them anymore.
Yep.
I wish that it had the thing that Final Fantasy 4 had in some of the versions, where you could swap out the final party member like towards the end of the game and just have anyone you want. Like I was really, I think it really would have been nice in the Pixel remaster to like roll in here with like Layla or something. I get like thematically it makes sense that Leon is a part of it, but
I'm actually really disappointed that Leela, there's not even a story reason why Leela steps away. It's just like, oh, her chapter is closed. Like, she's there.
Yeah.
She's there in the throne room. You can't even like, she's like, oh,
yeah,
good
she's
luck,
just fucking,
guys.
she's had enough adventure.
We only had her for
Literally
her
a pirate.
boat. Once we got a different boat, we're like, eh.
Well, we had her twice,
Maybe
right?
she's just mad because you trashed her boat.
We take back Finn with her, but that's about it.
Yeah, like she leaves the party and then she comes back eventually, I think, which is great, and I loved that. But yeah, the first
The
thing I
only
did,
party member to do that.
Well, I'll also say like the way that the fourth party member like swaps out
Besides Leon,
is it really undermines your incentive to invest in the characters, right? Like at this point in the game, you kind of know that the fourth party member is, you know, totally optional and can disappear at any time. And so like, why would you really invest?
Take your equipment with them,
like,
depending on
you know,
version.
you're just kind of like,
I mean, to some extent, you could probably guess that Leon's going to be the fourth one just because he's the fourth character in the opening cutscene
the character that you named in the beginning of the game, and then you were just like, oh yeah, what happened to that guy 20 hours ago? Oh right.
I thought it was just gonna be like naming your rival in Pokemon, where you just kind of
and name him Ass Face, Fart Knocker.
That's a name I haven't heard in.
Yeah.
Do you guys have too much to say about the Jade Passage though? It's a pretty pretty straightforward dungeon.
The actual like look in the pixel remaster with the little like crystals and stuff, like it's a really cool vibe, and it feels like in a kind of otherworldly place, and you know, I like all of the little fine touches.
Yeah, I like that you can actually see the shop in it on like the one of the final floors of it. There's like a waterfall.
I love
this. If you walk into the waterfall, you take damage, and there's a little black mage character just chilling in there that you can buy a bunch of really good tomes from.
Is
like
you can't see him in the Famicom version, right?
No, it is just 2 tiles worth of what's it called, of waterfall. The one you're closest to, like towards the bottom, you can't walk through, and then it's almost like a secret entrance behind the waterfall.
Is it just like resistance training under there?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool though, that they put like a hidden shop in a set of damage tiles, and you can't see the hidden shop, but there is a black mage down there, and he doesn't sell anything that you could want, but
he sells shit that literally you can just go walk around outside, find some magicians, and fucking mug them for it. Like, just beat the shit out of them, and you got all the haste tomes you could ever want. Which at this point, the only thing they're worth is selling them for gil, and these dungeons, when you defeat monsters, you get so much gil that you get so useless.
Much gil, it's crazy.
But it does follow the rule of cool thing behind a waterfall in a video game, so
it's true.
I appreciate
that's the thing, is they squandered this opportunity, right? It's like a really cool little optional shop, like, and it's the last part of the game, even if you're not aware of it as a player yet. Like, come on, have some game end stuff. Don't just have like the normal spells. Like, and also they don't even have all the spells I was looking for. Like, I was looking for like life and like the ether spell. I forget what it's called.
Osmos?
Like Osmos. Yeah, I was looking for like Osmos and life, like useful spells to give to my other party members. And he's just like, he has garbage, and I hurt myself.
You want to buy a flare for 40,000?
I will say, in this dungeon,
I wish I could have pushed him down the fucking waterfall.
In this dungeon, there are 2 really good items that I have a hilarious story about. One of them, one is the Yoichi bow, which is the best bow in the game, and I've had Maria on bows the whole time, and I didn't realize it. I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, don't you take like a magic penalty for equipping a bow? And so I looked it up online, and it's like, oh yeah, you take a 70% magic reduction for equipping a bow, even though Maria's been doing like hella damage, right? I think I just have like, my magic's really high, and I have her intelligence stat really high. But I was like, you know,
I didn't realize that she's had a bow this entire goddamn time. Fuck.
Yep. So I remembered learning on the podcast while talking to you all that, like, wait a minute, you can just equip things during battle if you have it in their item slot. So I put the Yoichi bow in her item slot and was like, there we go. That way, if like shit goes down and she needs the bow, I'll have it there to equip. And she went from doing like 600-700 damage to like 2,000 plus every single turn.
God,
and I was like, what the fuck?
Dude.
So this game could have been way easier.
I kind of like that though. Again, it's the kind of thing where if I ever, you know, go completely out of my fucking mind and want to play this game again, that's something to consider, because I always had Maria have a bow. And But yeah, no, that would have been very helpful. I was in the same position, and there were some fights here where I think it's good though, because it actually gave me kind of a challenge at these end areas, which I was save scumming through, which made it a lot easier.
I thought the challenge of the end area was actually kind of nice. I thought there was like a good balance for this being the final area of the game. It felt good.
Yeah, it's most of the encounters are doable, and then you get into one where it's like 6 Marlboros deep, and you're just like, well, I just fucking die then, I guess.
And
it also does where, one of my favorite things, which is when they bring back boss level enemies as like random mobs.
Yeah.
Which I know this game does a lot of, but like it always makes me happy because it makes me feel so like number go uppy and like powerful.
Love to see the Taurus demon here in the last area. The other item that I got was the rune axe, which is the best axe in the game. And I guess because, I don't know, I was tired or something, or I had brain worms, I don't know. I was like, an axe. I can get more money for this. And I warped out and sold it. And and then after I sold it and I bought like an elixir for that money, I was like, wait a minute, I do have an axe wielder. I forgot about that.
Yep.
So Guy just did not have his best weapon for the end of the game.
Yeah, I was using the shit out of that.
Ain't that important. Yeah.
I can't remember. I think a lot of these like high value items are guarded by monsters in a box.
The bow is at least.
The bow is for sure.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if the other one is. If the rune axe.
In this dungeon, no. In the next dungeon, yes, everything.
Yes, everything, and in a cool way where it's like optional boss fights essentially. So even if you don't like the loot, it might be worth doing that if you want to do all the bosses, which I thought was really cool. There's one in particular that I really like.
Yeah,
it's also
really
cool
sick.
that by this point in the game, you're mostly familiar with the enemy archetypes, and so like they can start throwing like weird combos, and you like have a strategy for each one. And you're like, okay, I gotta do this row with this stuff, and like you start to have more complex attack strategies. It's like cool.
Yeah, I loved that for sure. There's a lot of like status ailments that you can get. You can get a lot of petrified, and at this point we don't really have a ribbon, I don't think. So I have Maria equipped with like whatever, like Genji helm or something, or something that prevents her from being petrified or one shot killed with death, and like that has gotten me into that has gotten me out of a lot of scraps. But
that's actually like a decent usage for that piece of equipment too, because the Genji equipment has like full evasion destruction, where it just takes your evasion away entirely. But it's not that important for Maria because she's in the back row, except for Magic, because Magic still has that accuracy roll. But if what you're trying to do is evade stats, then having a piece of equipment that just gets rid of the stats, it's actually a pretty good trade-off for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then if you give her like a backup life spell just in case, you have like somebody in the hole at all times who can just like get the party back on their feet. So, but yeah, other than that, I feel like those are like the main points about the Jade Passage.
It's a pretty straight shot. There are difficult encounters, and
dragons.
It's got dragons.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up.
White dragons, salamanders, abyss worms, great Marlboros.
Actually, the enemies are really cool in here. I really like them.
They can fuck you up.
I was doing a lot of fast forwarding on my emulator to make the battles not crawl by, and I was like, oh wow, I guess Maria's like flame spell or like fire or whatever is leveled up to the point where its animation is completely different against some of these enemies, and then I was like, oh my god. That is because they are absorbing it, and the text is moving too fast for me to see that. So I'm just in like not paying attention mode, and like my other party members are fighting for their fucking lives and trying to out DPS, and then Maria's like, "Here you go," and just curing them all. I was like, "Damn!" And when I figured that out, I was like, "Oh, these are actually much easier fights than I thought."
I definitely did the same thing where I couldn't see whether they were absorbing HP or not. I just spent like several turns with them. Was just like, "What is happening? Why are they so healthy?" Damn.
Yeah.
Is that how you refer to an enemy with a lot of HP? Is that they're healthy?
They are very healthy. Yeah,
very healthy.
I had made Guy into basically like a white mage monk by this point in the game. So like, just like, you know, he was basically 2 shields in the beginning of the game, so he would just punch people with the shields. And then at this point, I got the shields off of him, so he's just barefisting everything and like just obliterating.
I like how you made him a gimmick everything. Dark Souls PvP build, like 2 great shields, just punching people and like using Wrath of the Gods and shit.
By this point in the game, Maria is just dual wielding the dagger that attacks twice, so she's like quad attacking. You know, the one that like you hit and then it does like a second attack, like a second damage round.
Nice.
So
that's so
she's
sick.
Like extremely powerful black mage wielding 2 daggers that also do a shit ton of damage.
That's so cool. I do really like the build variety that you can get in this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess should we take the path to hell? We get to the end, and I can't remember how it is in the Pixel remaster of how you actually get to Palamacia. I don't know if there's any indication.
Pandemonium, you mean?
Pandemonium, yeah.
There's just a warp pad at the end of the Jade Passage.
Nice.
You know, what I like about the Famicom version, and I think it actually it adds a little bit to the spookiness of the Pandemonia Castle for me. Yeah, is that when you get to the end, and by the way, like the last floor or two of the Jade Passage changes the terrain, which I think is really nice. Mm-hmm. You go from kind of this like overgrown cave with like bits of water and stuff to just like a completely dry sandy chasm, which I think is like a really nice change.
It's like you're surrounded by hay bales.
Yeah, it does look like that. But when you get to the last room, there's just nothing in it. There's no teleport pad or anything. It's just a blank room, and you're just
like, fuck, do I have to go backtrack? I wonder if anyone's gotten here, didn't hit the one specific tile that is not indicated at all to get you there,
weird.
And have like backtracked and tried to like comb over everything. It's like trying to find fucking Phoebus in Pokemon. And you're like, where's the tile that I need?
Right. Yep. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's just a blank tile that you have to step on, and you get warped to Pandemonium.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Pixel Remaster, there's a nice, very pretty tile you stand on, and you have a little animation of getting warped. And then you appear in this very like glass-floored, purple-walled castle, and Furion just says, "This is the castle of hell. Pandemonium!
This
Pandemonium!
is castle of hell."
I love how like Japanese game designers just find like cool words in like Gnostic text, and they're like, hell yeah, Pandemonium. Like, fuck yes.
So if you there was something I wanted to talk about with the name Pandemonium. So I just typed into Google Pandemonium Final Fantasy, and you know, like when you go to like a wiki, sometimes you'll have a disambiguation page where it's like, oh, do you mean the album from 1975 or whatever? The disambiguation page reads mostly like you would think, and I'm not a Final Fantasy 14 head, so our 14 heads right now are gonna like be laughing at me because I think this is amazing, but it's got things like you would expect. The location from FF2, the enemy from Final Fantasy 9, and then there's just the weather from Final Fantasy 14. The weather? What?
You do not want that on your forecast.
That's
no chance of pandemonium tomorrow.
God, that just makes me think.
Do not go outside.
No, we just experienced that like last week.
Or is it like a pandemonium index? We're like, oh yeah, like
no, we really should. Yeah, we really should rate orange skies. We should just call that pandemonium. That's the way.
The PQI is a little high today, guys. Don't go outside if they're sensitive. The first thing that I did in Pandemonium was nearly get a fucking game over because I just walked a couple of tiles and immediately encountered, I think they're called like Dark Riders or something.
Oh my god, Dark Riders. Yeah. Especially in the Famicom version. What a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, so I don't know the deal with them. I think from context clues, they have extremely high defense or evasion or something because all my physical attacks were doing nothing and I was fucking shitting myself. And I was so worried about it. And I actually have a screenshot of Furion knocked out, Guy knocked out, Leon knocked out. But Maria is at 310 hit points, and she was able to scrape by even though she was on the front line because I just cast fire on all of them. I'm like, fuck it, dude, I'm shooting my shot. And she just completely wiped them. I'm like, oh, they're weak to fire or magic or something. So
if she had one more HP, she would have been able to do it easily.
I know, dude. You can imagine my disappointment that I didn't get another screenshot of 311 hit points like I have a lot of times in this game.
They're Death Riders, right? So they're undead. Maybe that's why the fire is effective on them.
Yeah, it might be.
Fire is effective
also,
on
they
undead.
heal when they attack you, right?
They have drain property for their attack.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They got
all
blood
the fucking
swords
enemies from this point on, or I mean, from an earlier point on, they all have like abilities when they attack, which is like the most stressful part of all of this. Which is why, again, I think evasion is so much more important than defense, because like even if you take a little bit extra damage, every fewer time you get attacked, that's one less roll for a stat.
Yeah.
Well, by this part in the game, I started to realize I needed magic defense too. Because a lot of like, I think it was either a lot of magic attacks don't pay attention to evasion, or the status effect attacks are prevented by MDEF or something. But I just remember like there was like that one kind of saber-tooth enemy that could bite and do venom, and it was just such a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, is that the corals or whatever they're called?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, those guys. Yeah.
They can just like one shot kill you with like death.
Yeah, there was like by this point in the game, I was like, you know, killing basically every group of enemies within like around 3 rounds, but some groups of enemies, I just be like, fuck, like just like one attack and I'm gone. So I have to like keep quick saving, even though I'm so powerful.
There was a couple fights where I was just like definitely dipping into the blood sword strat. Like Leon comes pre-equipped with like a pretty decent sword stat. I think he's got like 7 proficiency with sword. So I was just like, okay, Leon's gonna have a blood sword in his pocket just in case. Furion's gonna have a blood sword in his pocket just in case. I'm not gonna lean on it too much, but then I would get into fights with like fucking mithril golems or like steel golems or something, and I'm like, yeah, fuck this. We're just
I could not figure
this
the
guy.
golems out. I feel like every enemy is supposed to have some kind of weakness in this game, but some of them, man, I was like, what do they want me to do?
They're like poorly what's it called? Illustrated, I guess. It doesn't really show you an obvious way of like, oh, this is the weakness that you're doing. It's literally just trial and error. And in the Famicom version, trial and error is so punishing because if you fuck up and die, you just like, well, have to go back out to before you even got into the Jade Passage.
It sucks. Yeah, I hate
and that's the thing, right? That this is the first time that like we've had 2 dungeons like connected at the hip,
back,
right?
yeah.
Where there's no, so it's really one dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really good and fitting for like the end game and all of the themes kind of colliding and just the ultimate moment that we're coming up to. But
yeah,
just from a gameplay thing, it's like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking rough. Anyone who beat this on NES straight up, like without a guide and stuff, like that is like a level of gaming that I will never be able to achieve.
Well, it's really cool that like this has like a kind of suicide mission vibe to it. Like it really does feel like you're going through hell. Like you have to go through a whole gauntlet just to access hell. And then now you're in hell. It's even worse. You know, like
well, I don't know.
This would be nice.
I'm not sure if this is like the intention or not, like the design of this, but the way I dealt with the Jade Passage is very much to like go on like runs. Like I would go on a run and get like a couple treasures, and then I'd back out and I'd go back to Finn and I would heal and I'd buy more stuff, and then I'd go on another run and get several items and then warp out and go back to Finn, and I kept doing that over and over and progressing a little bit further each time, which definitely does make these 2 dungeons a little more digestible because you're not like, you don't have to perform multiple feats of battle over and over and over. You just need to do like 1 or 2 monsters in a box or something like that every time, and then you back out and you go have another go at it. It does pad the time that you spend on it, but it makes it a lot safer, I feel like.
Well, and the Jade Passage doesn't have as many branching paths, which annoyed me in the early game because I like was playing on the Pixel Remaster, so I didn't need to keep going in and out. But I can see how that, you know, you were saying in the last episode, like it's almost designed for you to go back to the start and like choose a different path and you know, run the dungeon a few different times. But like with the Jade Passage, it's just a gauntlet. You're just going floor by floor, right?
Yeah.
This does remind me a bit of FF4, how like the final stretch is like you're going through just caves and caves.
God, the end of Final Fantasy 4 was so good.
And then you're at the lunar subterranean and everything's like glass floors. It just feels like you're.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that.
Speaking of
which,
floors,
yeah, like when you enter Pandemonium, it does have an entirely different look. Like it's a castle-ass castle. And one thing I love about it is that every floor is a different color palette, and I think that's so good.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
It's not really a castle-ass castle. It's like a terrifying, twisted version of like opulence, right? It's like weird and uncanny, and
in
like
the Pixel Remaster
walls,
for sure.
It reminds me a bit of the aesthetics from now Stranger of Paradise, where everything is very crystalline and almost in a kind of a Geiger-esque way.
Yeah,
where everything is almost grafted on. Like the walls are made of crystal, but in a kind of gross.
I mean, in the
Pixel
Remaster, it almost looks like the walls are made of flesh.
Yeah.
It's almost got like a Lord Jabu Jabu's belly kind of vibe.
Yeah, okay.
If he renovated.
Yeah. If he made it nice in there. If he put a castle in there.
You know what it reminds me of? Is the final dungeon from FF9, whose music is called Castle Pandemonium.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was
Wow,
like,
I'm really glad Final Fantasy II took inspiration from Final Fantasy IX.
I was like, oh man, we definitely have to mention that because that is like one of the big like trivia things that people. I mean, the song is absolutely amazing, and
Oh, it's so good.
it's so
I love
good.
that they
And
have a
Final
new
Fantasy
song.
IX is great as well, and just it's really one of those good moments in Final Fantasy where there's like a callback, and you're like, oh, like if you know it, it's so good. And if you don't know it, like you find out later and you're like, damn, that's really good.
Somehow they strike this balance of like the music being triumphant, but also deeply unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true.
Buo
Yeah.
don't miss.
An old roommate of mine had never played FF2 before, but he definitely knew the song Castle of Pandemonium. So it has like, it's one of the like most known things about this game, I feel like.
Yeah, this is a really cool area. I guess depending on your perspective, it is very disorienting. There's a lot of doorways that kind of lead to things. There's a lot of secret passages that for the Famicom version, I did very little exploration. I just looked at a guide, I looked at a map, and I was like, okay, what chests are worth getting, what aren't, and just kind of went through. It was a lot more fun to kind of just go through and explore in the Pixel remaster. But
Sure.
there's a cool hidden room on the 5th floor.
Oh boy.
I do want to say, like, I feel like the encounter rate is just a little too high in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Always
agree.
getting a fight. Like, look, I've played a lot of Final Fantasy games. All right, I'm totally fine with random encounters. This game, I get a random encounter like a full second before I think it's appropriate. And it really is starting to get to me by this point in the game. Like,
Yeah.
I want to explore. I want to play it. I'm fine to have fights, but I'm having like 20% more fights than I think I should be having.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like the fights are so long because of the animations too. Like even on like the
Right.
fastest speed, so it is like a slog. Like you get into a battle, you spend several minutes there, and then when you get out of the battle, you're like, where was I going? What was I doing? And if you
Yeah, and then
don't
you take
remember,
4
you're gonna
steps and you're
step
back
one
in
or
a
two in the
battle
wrong
again.
direction, and you're gonna get into a battle even sooner.
What was the name of that one boss that we had to fight? It was like Gatos or something.
Yeah, Gotos.
There's his like, Charizard form here, his like final evolution, and they usually come in pairs of 3.
I thought it's just because he was shiny, like a Pokemon card.
Yeah, he looks very shiny, like a shiny Charizard. He's like a purple and black kind of color palette. But he's like I forget, he uses like Dispel on your entire party, and in the way that like manifests in the Famicom version is it's just like uses Dispel 16 or whatever, and it's just like Furion, like ice damage increase, like fire damage increase. It's like
Oh my
list
God.
everything out one by one. So I was just,
so awful.
anytime that would happen, I would just hit fast forward on my emulator to go like 4 times speed. I'm like, get it over with, dude. Like this definitely becomes
Get on with it.
a challenge of patience over anything else.
A really weird decision that they made was like, you know how there's like sometimes you open a door to an empty room and they like crank up the encounter rate to make you have a fight before you can get back out of the room. Like, just have it be an encounter. I don't need to load the room and walk. Like, just have me open the door, give me a fight, and then put me on the other side of the door again. Like, it's
Yeah,
a
make
weird
it like
roundabout
fucking what's his name in Super Mario RPG in the Final Fantasy fight, in that you just walk into a door and then you're in the fight and then
you
the
fight
door
Kulix.
disappears.
Kulix.
Yeah, Kulix,
Yeah.
Also, I think the enemies here start dropping ribbons, right?
So the enemies here, and I mean, really, the enemies starting at when the cyclone appears, start dropping incredible gear, and they drop the in-game gear like most of the enemies here do. So there's a lot of really, really good stuff that can get dropped by these enemies. At this
Yeah, I got a
point.
lot
You
of
can
like
get,
protect equipment. I don't think you can get any Genji equipment drops, but I
You
definitely
can
got some.
on one specific enemy.
Oh, nice. Who's that? Do you remember?
That is the Iron Giant.
Oh,
Carl.
okay,
Did you
nice.
run
Is
into
that
the
one of
Iron
those
Giant?
sub bosses, like in the chest?
He's the war mech of this game. He has
No,
like
I wanted to
Yeah.
keep my eyes out. I have a save state right before the Emperor. How do you encounter the Iron Giant? And
He's
is
got
he
like
voiced by Vin Diesel? And is Vin Diesel nice in real life?
I think he has like a 0.1% chance of appearing or whatever, just like the war mech from
He's on the
FF1.
4th floor.
Yeah, and he's
I
only
think.
on the 4th floor. Yeah.
Oh, and the fourth floor is a weird floor as well. The fourth floor, there's like 3 like warp tiles that will get you there. 2 of which are just in a hallway, like that basically just like that is your way towards the end that you like get to like later. And the first one is like when you're coming from the 3rd floor, you get to it, and there's just 4 doors, and they lead into like loot rooms, and like 2 of the like it's very much like a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that floor's really cool.
Yeah.
Curse, did you say that the Iron Giant is the only one monster that drops Excalibur?
I did not, but I guess
But
he
that
is.
is.
Whoa, he drops Excalibur?
Yeah, he's as a rare drop, I assume.
Yeah, 5% chance.
So if you do not go back to Diced, you could try to farm it here.
You just fight 20
Speaking of, can we take a real quick diversion into more hilarious mechanics that this game has?
Of course.
It's the last episode
I thought
of the
diversions
season.
about the mechanics of this game were literally the entire like season.
Yeah, I know. It's but that's
This
what makes
game
it
is
so
This game
good.
is just nothing but a diversion.
And the thing is, like the thing about that, right?
When are you going to get to the
specifically-
fireworks factory?
When are
I
we
like
going to
the
get
thing
to
about-
Pandemonium?
I feel like the thing about that, right, is that it's both what makes this game infamous, like parentheses bad, but it's the thing that makes this game good too. Is that there are so many mechanics, and it's like it's very engaging to me in that way. That like it is a difficult game, it is a bit of a slog, but there's just so much mechanically going on with it that like the more you play it, the more used to the mechanics you can get to the point where like spells that like their only difference is elemental also have tiny little things that are weird and different about them that you may be able to utilize here and there. And so I think that's like a very special thing about this game. But the digression I wanted to make this time is monster types, right? Because the Excalibur is good against 5 or 6 different monster types. That's one of the reasons why it's such a good sword. So it does like extra damage against undead. It does extra damage against different kinds of enemies. And one of the different kinds of enemies that I thought was very fun that it does more damage against is werebeasts. So just anything that has WERE at the very beginning of the name, it does more damage against that. And I find that's very fun.
That's really good.
But yeah, so the game has like very granular monster types, which I think is very fun. That like you don't just have like 3 or 4 types and then you have like what elements are good against them. You have like 15, 16 different types of enemies, and they're all like very specific. Ants, spiders, like stuff like that. Like that could just be bugs.
Yeah. I mean, it's very Gygax, right? Like the early Dungeons and Dragons, where everything was like super specific. Also,
I do love
it's
how
funny,
ambitious they were with this. Even if it didn't really land, I do like all of the ideas, which eventually, evolved and became what we know as Final Fantasy today. So I think that is worth it.
The more I think about it, like if Final Fantasy 1 was an attempt to like turn Dungeons and Dragons into a video game, this really is kind of the same relationship that like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons had with the original Dungeons and Dragons, like trying a new system that's kind of controversial but also cool, and like just this era of experimentation before like a hard formula had been settled on. Like that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's very true.
Speaking of weird mechanic things, I'm going to say something that might make Curtis extremely mad. Because it made me extremely mad when I found out about it, and then I forgot about it, and I meant to do it for the last dungeon on the Famicom version, and then I didn't. Curtis, are you familiar with the target cancel bug?
Yes, I am.
Did you use it at all?
I did not.
Okay, yeah.
Because I never felt like I was like really needing to. And I was like, yeah, go ahead.
It almost makes me want to go through the game and just use this to play through it. As like essentially just like, okay, I went through the hard way, sort of. I mean, I use save scumming, but a new game plus, because if you're not familiar with the target cancel bug, it is a bug that allows for a player to level up weapons and magic without any real effort by selecting attack or magic commands, then immediately canceling that character's action and repeating it ad nauseum.
Because the addition to the stat doesn't happen at the end of the battle. It doesn't happen at the end of the turn. The roll happens when you input the command.
It's really
so
nice.
as soon as you've input the command, it has rolled and it has like figured it out. And so if you back out, you just get more rolls. You can just keep stacking them.
I like how they referenced this in later games. Again, there's a lot of referential things that come from earlier games in future Final Fantasy titles, and this one is like chock full of them because, you know, I think it's like the passion project of the development team, but they reference this in Final Fantasy VII by including a bug
with the W item glitch.
Yeah.
You know, I started playing Final Fantasy 15 again the other night, and I find that Final Fantasy 15 references 2 a lot in the way that it's not good. So I thought that was like a cool throwback. Got him!
So wise. And
Yeah.
so
Anyway, we're
brave.
doing 15 next season.
Carl, I also love that like you played the game once in the remaster and like very enjoyable experience. Seen the story, experienced like the game, and then you're like, what if I played a game, the version of the game that's notoriously awful and miserable, and then you've been like playing through that and fetching about it, and like it's been a terrible experience, and you're like, but what if I played it again, but I made it even more esoteric, where like I'm not even playing the game, I'm almost playing the game for hours. Like,
Are you saying that I would play a game for hours and hours and hours that I've beaten before and had a lot of trouble doing, and then would try and do it in a faster way and just play it for the rest of my life for thousands and thousands of hours? Because that doesn't sound like
and
me.
subject your friends to watching you play the first world of that game.
Yeah, are you saying that you don't want to watch me play the first 5 minutes of a game over and over again while resetting and trying again?
The trick to FF2, of course, being that you do all your equipping when you're on the ladders.
Eventually, Carl
That's
will
a Dark
come full
Souls
circle.
joke. If you don't watch Carl on Twitch, then you're missing out.
Carl will come full circle and realize that the best and fastest way to play Final Fantasy II is not to play it at all.
That's very true. That is very true. Actually, reminds me, I have to text a friend of mine back who asked me the other day. I'm going to read his text to all of you. He's doing this from like an academic standpoint because that's what he's studying for his PhD. But I was talking about, he was like, how do you not get tired of playing Dark Souls? And he said, really? Like, what's the source of the endless appeal? The idea of returning to something familiar? Or is it the intense concentration just puts you into a flow state? And I never messaged him back. And that was a very well thought out question. And
Can't talk in flow state. Can't talk playing Dark Souls.
I'm just going to text back, brain bad.
Number go up good, actually.
Just say yes.
Yes. He would appreciate the Mr. Burns yes, for sure. Maybe I'll send him that. Anyway.
No, you just got to send the picture of like shoving all the diseases through the doorway.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
All
right.
I like that on the fandom. I was looking at Pandemonium. I like that it says this is the capital of hell.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
like,
this is where all the
was there, like, a
bureaucracy
founding
happens.
Well, I mean, traditionally in
Oh
Dungeons
no,
and Dragons,
I just thought
like
oh my god.
in the actual like monster manual and stuff, like the Dungeon Master's Guide, the difference between devils and demons is that devils are lawful and demons are chaotic. So like actually like if this is supposed to be an adaptation of a Dungeons and Dragons kind of setting, it makes sense that the devils would have a capital city and like an emperor and like a structure, a hierarchical structure.
It was formerly ruled
I'm
by
gonna have to just
Satan.
read the monster manual one
Bro,
day.
Curtis, you're gonna love it. It's so cool. I'll lend you my copy. I mean, I'll send you a PDF.
I think I actually have. I think my roommate has a copy of it and all like the materials downstairs. I might just be like, "Yo, let me read that." I don't actually want to play it with you. I just want to.
I moved away from Dungeons and Dragons because even though I like turn-based video games, like for video games, like I actually hate turn-based combat in tabletop role-playing games.
I see.
But like the actual world building and the art and the visual style of the materials are just like second to none. They're so good.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna have to check it out. I feel like also that's just like work I need to do for this podcast.
Corey, I'm glad that you said something very thought out and like smart and like educational when we heard about Capital of Hell, because my first thing was like, oh, so our party decided to go to Pandemonium on January 6th.
I mean, yeah, we are, we are basically doing that. We're refusing to acknowledge the like rightful rule of the new era.
Stop the
Stop
count.
the steal.
Leon
won the
said, "I want you
election."
to march up the steps of pandemonium."
Listen, when I say stop the count, I'm talking about vampires, okay?
1, 2, 3 vampire girls.
Anyway, there's a really good mimic encounter here. I forget what the item is for.
That's the best joke we've had in the season this far.
But there is like I think when you get like the Genji helmet or something, there's a Tiamat boss fight, which is very cool. You know, again, establishing, or the Tiamat was in Final Fantasy 1 as well, right?
So like there's 4 of those, right? Are they bringing back all 4 of the big? I don't remember that much of FF1. Okay.
No, but they do bring back some. I love, and I know they did this in FF1. It's not like it's established here, but a thing that I love in a video game is the final dungeon being like 10 bosses deep, and that's so much fun for me, especially when they're not callbacks to other bosses. They're just like surprise,
optional,
standalone insanity, and like it's like fucking Tiamat, like what the fuck, and it like comes out of a box.
Obligatory reference to Final Fantasy 8 here.
8 is so good about that. It's so good. I'm just like such a fan of that.
It's very funny, the implications though. The Emperor just has like boxes of monsters that he just hurls into Earth to like fight,
and not just boxes of like generic monsters, like boxes of like incredibly strong.
These are the WMDs of hell, you know, like this is the nuclear stockpile.
Incredibly strong monsters, and also just an extremely cruel fate for someone who fucking totally deserves it, because one of these monsters in a box is just zombie Borgin. It's like, we fucking killed this dude. We fucked him up and destroyed him, and he was in service of the Emperor, and then he got to hell, and the Emperor's like, "Get in the box, motherfucker. You still got work to do." And I don't think
this Genji
he was working
helm.
with the Dark Knight, which is like he felt like so low in the ranks.
And now look who we're friends with.
Am I meant to understand that being in hell isn't a fun time?
Futurama made it look like it was fun. It had that musical number.
That's pretty good.
Oh, we should talk about the hidden room on the 5th floor.
Hey, you know what we should do before we talk about the hidden room on the 5th floor? We should use the spell warp and leave.
Take a quick pandemonium.
I refuse.
And go to the inn and buy a bunch of elixirs and chill out.
You can do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to meet you in the hidden room. I'm going to have Maria just do some osmos on any creature that's not undead down here, of which there are a few. And I'm going to do my own elixir by just gaming the system with osmos.
That is the cool way to do it.
Hey Alex, can I show you my hidden room?
Sure, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm going to let Alex and Corey do their thing, and I will see you all in just a moment. I'm sorry, Carl. I cut you off. What were you saying about some kind of wacky hidden room?
Oh, yeah.
Some kind of dungeon in the clown house?
I was waiting for you guys to get back, and I forgot what I was going to say.
You're just using
No, I'm just
osmos.
kidding. There's a really cool weapon that you may have heard of before.
Never heard of this thing.
But yeah, on the I think it's the 6th floor or something. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
Depends if you're playing on PSP or not.
Yeah, 5th floor. It depends on if you count a basement as a floor.
We're also in hell, so
getting through and getting all of the treasure chests. And nice on the Pixel remaster, because each map will actually show you how many treasures you have collected out of how many. So you could theoretically go back and be like, oh, okay, well, let me like really comb over and try and see what I missed. But at the end of one of the locations, there's a false wall that does not have any indicator that it leads anywhere. It's just like the edge of the map, and when you walk through it,
that guy again who says he's tired.
yeah.
Like in Castle Finn.
Yeah, there's just a tiny little room here. There's not too much space to walk in there, and just a chest that I don't think even has like a monster in it. Like it's really nice. It's just a free piece of equipment here. And
Doesn't
you get the
even have a
Masamune.
monster in it.
Doesn't even have a monster in it, but yeah.
Oh, I wanted a monster.
Did Sephiroth do this?
Yeah. So I'm looking on the Pixel remaster of how much equipping the Masamune would increase Firian's attack from Excalibur. With Excalibur, he has 154 attack, and when I equip the Masamune, he gets 204 attack, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the jump in between the Excalibur and the previous sword, like the Sun Sword, is like a damage boost of 10 to 20, and this has a damage boost of 50 attack points, like on the equipment itself. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm looking at Furion has the Sun Blade or the Sun Sword or whatever in my NES version, and his attack is 117. Shoutouts to Master Chief. And then when I put on the Masamune, it's 184, which is fucking insane. Which again is really cool and really good, but also you have a blood sword, so for anything that's not undead, you're pretty much always going to be outclassing that with the blood sword, but really, really cool.
Well, depending, right, on like how many hits you're getting.
True. I mean, if you're, it depends on how many hits you're doing, and it also depends on how much HP your enemy that you're facing has.
Yeah. It's the sick thing about the Masamune. I mean, there's multiple sick things about the Masamune, but one of them is it does increase your evasion like pretty well, which is exciting. And it also can cast haste. If you use it, it just casts haste on the party. And so you get like way more attacks. I didn't realize that. Yeah. So it's like...
That would have been helpful.
It was real strong. Got cool attributes to it. And it also makes you faster, makes you speedy. How about that?
I know I've said a lot in this, where I'm like,
Sephiroth.
I would like to try that. And then I never do things. And I feel like that's kind of also pretty indicative of this game, where I'm like, there's so much really cool granular stuff in all of the equipment. There's all this build variety, and there's all this different stuff that you can do, and these different mechanics that are really cool. And I have very little desire to actually do it because it's just like, well, that might make things a little easier. It's like Ultima. That's such a cool idea, but unless you're using the bug to just level up magic, that sounds like a waste of time.
Also, I just looked this up.
Let me make a pitch here.
I was gonna say, I can throw one more Excalibur thing in, so we don't have to like loop back on it. Okay, last Excalibur thing: no magic penalty, so you keep 100% of your magic attack, which I don't think any other swords have. Sorry, Corey, go.
Yeah. So, one of the things that people told me about Dark Souls before I'd played it was that one thing that's so great about it is that there's all this mystery, and it requires word of mouth to learn about different things, and I feel that way in general about games, where like I know there's like a big like vein of completionism where people want to like try everything and see everything, and they want to go back and do everything. But like, I think it's kind of cool to not see everything in a game, because it makes it still feel big. And particularly like a weird, complex labyrinth like Pandemonium, it's kind of fun to not know where all the walls end, right? Like, because it makes it feel even more sprawling and unknowable and eldritch. So I think it's cool. It's cool to like finish a game and then hear about something and be like, wow, like I had no idea that was in there. Like this game is so cool, you know, like it's like
if I stumbled on this room, I would have immediately backtracked and tried to find more secret rooms on my way in.
Well,
okay,
exactly. It's like in Elden Ring when there was that one wall that just like there was a bug in it, and it like probably used to be an illusory wall, but like someone found out if you hit it like 100 times or something, it breaks, and it's totally useless. But then everyone who played Elden Ring and heard about that was like, okay, now I need to spend the next 50 hours of my life hitting every single wall in this
illusory
game
wall. Try sword.
So-called free thinkers when a wall breaks.
I really also resent what branching paths do to me in games where I want all the items. Like I did this a lot in Final Fantasy 13, where like every time a path split, I wouldn't go, oh, where do I think I need to go to continue? I would think, where does the game want me to think I need to go? And then I will go the opposite direction because I'm going to miss something. I literally never used any of the items I got from the spheres in those fucking games, right? Like, no accessories, no nothing. And like, I feel like it really detracted from my enjoyment of the game. I'm thinking too much about like, oh, I'm going to miss something. Like, it's kind of cool just to be like, just like a dad about it and just be like, video game, let's go. Like, just fucking play and I'm going to finish the game.
I think 13 is like 13 very much wants to be a movie in a way, and they have to put RPG elements in it, and I don't mean that in a bad way. That's not a criticism of 13. I fucking love 13, obviously, but I feel like a lot of times it did feel like, well, we have to have some branching paths. It's a Final Fantasy game, and they mostly went for it. They mostly went for the gusto, and we're like, no, we're gonna play, or we're gonna make like a playable like a Call of Duty campaign mode, right, for a Final Fantasy game. And
Meanwhile,
like
Final
when it
Fantasy
was
2
doing that and it was confident in it, it was at its best. Yeah.
I mean, meanwhile, Final Fantasy 2 is, what if the entire game was branching paths? Like, what if, not the game itself, not the story, but like, what if the dungeons were just like a horrible labyrinth?
Well, I mean, even the story, though, to some extent, right? Because like, you're not walled off from all of the cities in the game from the get-go. Like, as soon as you get the canoe, you can go to any city in the game, with the exception of Mysidia. You wouldn't want to, but
you think
could.
they just destroyed those cities because they ran out of space and didn't want to write more dialogue?
The fact that happens in this game rules.
But they did write more dialogue. They gave it to that weird guard in the castle that you never see.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah. So we get the Masamune, and we are able to continue through the castle. There's a couple cool mechanics here. Like, there's not really mechanics in most dungeons, but I think there are here, where floor 4 or 5, depending on which version you're playing, has multiple doors in it, and the multiple doors take you to multiple floors. So like
multiple floors, or in other words, multiple branching paths.
Multiple branching paths, indeed. And those will take you to possible boss fights, right?
Mm-hmm. Possible
so like
monsters in boxes and possible good loot, because pretty much all of the loot here is like very worthwhile. Like, there's a ribbon, there's obviously the Masamune, there's a bunch of Genji gear, and like Sage's Wisdom. I think there's also like the 2 I skipped in the NES one were like the Hellfire and the Acid Flail, because I'm like, I'm never going to use items to do damage. I'm just going to do the things that I've been working towards to do my damage.
Did you at least get into fights with Beelzebub and Astaroth?
I got into a fight with Beelzebub. Oh yeah, and the other, and Astaroth. Yeah,
and the other, and Astaroth,
and the other two,
Soul Calibur 6. Well, wait, when did Soul Calibur 2? Was it the first Astaroth? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Astaroth's in Soul Calibur. That's the joke.
I like that they put the optional bosses in the dungeon. You don't have to like really go scour the earth to find them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is just that they're subletting.
Spacious apartment, steps from the Jade Passage, only 4,000 a month.
But yeah, Beelzebub looks super fucking sick. He almost looks like a Chinese lantern fly, or like just a. I think he's supposed to just look like a fly in general. But yeah, I think Beelzebub, like the etymology of it is that it means like Lord of Flies in Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken.
Or like Beelzebub, am I right?
Whoa.
But usually that's another name commonly for the devil, which, playing on the hell theme as well.
Yeah.
He looks very different in the NES version.
He really does, yeah. He different angle as well. Like, it's front facing, just like top down look on the NES, basically. If it was laying on its back.
The PlayStation version looks great.
It looks really good, yeah.
There's also an interesting thing here. I don't know if this was the case in the Famicom version or not, because obviously I have these, but it says on the Final Fantasy fandom page. Oh wait, no, never mind. That's for the PlayStation version, I guess. Like the PSP, I guess, versions. Yeah, the PSP version has like the extra dungeons. Apparently, it appears as a boss in the extra dungeon if you've learned 12 keywords or more.
Oh, interesting.
Weird. Yeah, I thought that was for in here, but then I read more and I was like, oh wait, no, that's for the extra bits. So never mind.
But yeah, Astaroth, I'm looking up the etymology of that now, and in demonology is a prince of hell. So not quite a king, but to me, keep swinging, prince. But like in art,
it means when we get the emperor, this guy's just going to take his place.
Yeah, in art specifically, Astaroth is depicted as a nude man with with dragon-like wings, hands, and feet, and a second pair of feathered wings after the mane, wearing a crown and holding a serpent in one hand. Just sounds cool as fuck. Also, riding a wolf or a dog, hell yeah. He does not look like that in Final Fantasy II.
I think Beelzebub is a prince of hell too. I think like all these guys are princes of hell.
Hell yeah. I guess I was going to say, like, can't there only be one prince? But I remembered that through most of history, there's multiple kingdoms and multiple, it's not just.
I think, Carl,
it's weird that there's no kings of hell.
I think there can be two princes. Because if you
think.
then go ahead now.
I love singing that song because I literally only know the first lyric to it, and then I just repeat it forever. If you want to buy me flowers, well, go ahead now. And if you want to buy some flowers, just go ahead now. And if you, that's all you
were
need.
Working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. A cocktail bar.
So it looks like Astaroth is nude in every version except the PSP mobile version.
Yeah, they gave him clothes.
I actually like the NES sprite for Astaroth the best out of all of them because he looks nasty. Looks gangrenous. Yeah, just a nasty, detached torso. Just looking,
really
gross.
cool looking. Really fucking sick.
Mono art is very different too. Interesting.
Really? I didn't see it.
Usually the sprite art is like very much based on like the mono art, but the mono art is very different from what the sprite.
Go in and like replace the like Wikipedia, like the picture in the Wikipedia page with the Amano art for the boss from Final Fantasy II and all the like Princes of Hell, like
so good
images.
Hell is a family. That's where when you're here, you're family.
All right, so continuing on through Pandemonium. There's a couple more floors. The floors are a little bit. There's interesting aspects to these floors where they kind of double back on each other, and like once you pick the correct direction from the floor with 4 doors, it just takes you to like an interesting L shape where you do like a victory lap of some other floors. But
the one with the iron the Iron Giant in it.
Yeah.
Is that the first instance of the enemy, the Iron Giant? By the way. Because that's a recurring enemy. I can't remember if that was an FF1.
I think so.
That very
Perhaps.
Cool. We should have had a bell this season of just chiming it every time there's a first instance of something in Final Fantasy.
Oh, we should have. That would have been so good. Alex, go back and edit the entire podcast again. I'm looking right now, and yes, this is the very first
appearance. Yeah, a 1% chance, and then became a staple. That's really sick.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I remember him in the frickin' the Thunder Plains, right? There was a that guy was fun.
Yeah. So we continue on through the floors. Eventually, we get to the 7th floor, which I like a lot. Which I don't know what the 7th floor looks like on the Pixel Remaster because I haven't played it in a little while, but I really liked it in the Famicom version because the color palettes of all the castles and all the floors to this castle have been different every time. And I don't know, but it seems like this floor is outdoors, maybe because it has like a dusk kind of like setting sun kind of feel to it.
Is this the open concept room?
It's very open concept, and like, I mean, it is.
I told you they remodeled.
And instead of everything being against walls, like, you know, you're indoors, so every floor is bordered by a wall. Some of the floor is bordered by large chasms, and so I felt like this was like outdoors or something. Like I'm walking the ramparts, because even the way the floor is built, you start at like a lower section, and then you walk up a very tall section of stairs, and then walk around the perimeter. And the perimeter is not bordered by walls entirely. Like you can kind of see outside the borders. So I like this idea that maybe this is them trying to be like, okay, you're walking around the outside of the castle. And if that's like the message they were trying to send, I think it actually was pretty effective, because that is what I took from it.
Yeah, and the Pixel Remaster, I think even the Game Boy Advance version, it starts out, the outer walls start to turn into kind of a nebulous crystal space, very much like when I forget, like reached the core of the Earth in like FF7 or something, where everything turns into like prismatic.
Yeah, I was thinking
glass floor
like
tiles and stuff.
I was thinking there was kind of no rhyme or reason from floor to floor, and it lends itself to like this, sense of impossible space, and the idea of Pandemonium, right? It's just chaos in physical form, and you're like walking through this space is designed to like rend and tear at your psyche and your mental well-being.
Oh, I'm feeling rent right now for sure.
Just don't think about it.
Yeah.
Look, you know what, Curtis? We're all feeling the rent these days. Hey, in this economy, whoa, hey.
Hey. I love the 8th floor as well, because it is a little bit of a windy maze, except for the fact that there are just 2 false walls that you can walk through and just cut the length of the entire floor. Yeah, you can just not do the floor and be like, fuck that shit, I'm walking through the walls. Just go on.
I so like the 8th floor because it's the best one.
Or 8th, do you mean the next floor?
No, I meant
Okay.
I meant Final Fantasy, the best one.
Okay. Because the 9th floor is also sick. Like the last several floors have like
8F? I thought you meant
attitude
FF8.
There's only 8 floors though. I guess unless you're playing the. I guess it's confusing maybe because it doubles back.
Well, there's 10
floors?
floors in Famicom version. If you include the last one. Because like the next floor that we go to after this one is just a large floor with it's just completely featureless. That you just walk around. There's no walls or anything, and you just have to find the exit. Which reminds me of Final Fantasy 1 when you're in the Sky Tower, like right before you fight Tiamat. There was a floor just like this. Yeah.
It reminds me of Final Fantasy X when you're in the nucleus or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
Reminds me of when you walk into a McMansion and there's like that big room at the entrance that has nothing in it, and it's just there.
It's called an atrium.
It's just there to be spacious. I think McMansion Hill calls it a lawyer foyer or a lawyer.
Lawyer foyer. That's so good. But after that, we are on the last floor of the game, which is straight up just like Final Fantasy ass Crystal World, right? We've like become part of the Mind Dungeon. We have reached the innermost point of our memory palace, and we are
floating crystals on the floors and stuff like that.
It's great. It's Final Fantasy as hell.
It is hell.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. So let me get out my screenshots because things started happening on this last floor.
There's still encounters in this fucking boss room.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't get into any, so knock on wood. I was like, I think there are encounters here, but I'm not gonna like push it. I'm just gonna go.
I don't remember which encounter I got into, but it was pretty simple. Like, luckily, it wasn't like, oh, now I have to farm for resources before getting into the fight to be fully topped off.
I forgot the name of that enemy we were talking about earlier, the Dark Rider or whatever.
Yeah, those things suck.
Death Rider.
Death Rider. The most merciful thing about this dungeon is that the Death Rider does not appear on every floor. There's only a couple of them. So like once you're past those floors, it's like, oh, thank God.
You think the Emperor would be disappointed if you just like perished at it, like right before you reached him on his floor?
He'd probably be bummed,
was
but he'd
so
be like,
close.
oh, okay, well, no one can stop
Can
me
someone
now.
clean this up?
Alex, I just saw the picture that you sent to the Discord. It says bowels.
Yeah.
Oh no, so that's I sent that, and the reason I sent it
Carl
is
sent
because
that. I'm sorry.
it is me talking to the Emperor in the Pixel Remaster months ago, and I'm just taking a screenshot, and in the bottom corner it says family sharing, hooray! Malform's shared games are no longer in use. So like Alex had just turned off his Steam Deck, and I could play the games that he has on Steam.
I've since relinquished your access to my family account.
Thank you.
You can also turn off notifications if you want.
True. That probably would have made more sense, but
so when we talk to the Emperor, depending on what version that we're playing, he might say, "You have braved the bowels of hell to reach me," which I am a child, so I have a little tee-hee about that. We went through the pooper of hell.
That's just Curtis's god.
Yeah.
Bowels of hell.
If we talk to him in the Famicom version, he just has one line. He just says, "So you've made it. This time you will die."
yeah.
And I thought that it was going to be like a 2-phase battle, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like multiple phases." It is not. So that's like his entire speech right there.
Emperor should have been like, "Look, I know I said see you in hell, but I wasn't being literal about it."
And are we ready to
see you in hell? I'll be in heaven. From heaven.
Yeah.
So the Pixel Remaster is full like final like monologue before you find him. It says, "You have braved the bowels of hell to reach me, but the hand of man, which deals in false justice and forsaken love, can never hope to defeat the Lord Master of Hell."
Well, I feel like at that point, not to say that we should
a
like
sickening pose.
not that like somebody who's done as many terrible things as the Emperor has like should be heard out or anything, but it is interesting that he's like, no, mankind has false love and it's bad, and I'd be like, well, what are you gonna do about that? Because if he was like, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna start mutual aid across the world, like, oh, well, actually, maybe we should just let this guy do his thing.
First, I'll destroy this oppressive establishment. Yay! Burns down every city. Oh no, I live in this oppressive establishment.
Where I keep my stuff.
Yeah, that's where the oppressive establishment is where I keep my stuff. God, it's fucking episode title. Anyway.
Also in the picture remaster, he's laying off a nice purple fart cloud.
Nice purple glow.
He's really stinking the place up.
The Famicom version,
ventilation in hell.
the Famicom version really like does not have any grandeur to it. There's like no effects. Like we've seen like some effects. Obviously, it's the Famicom, right? So it's not going to be like bombastic. But we've seen like fire effects. We've seen him like cast out like little souls and spirits when he fought Ricard, right? But this one he's just like, hey, yo, what the fuck? Why are you up here? And then we just get into a battle with him, and it's like, okay, here we go.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but you can do something really cool on the final boss that I didn't try for. It was just random, and it just happened.
Just throw Ultima at it?
No, I got into the boss, and I got a preemptive strike on him.
Oh, nice.
Snuck up on him.
Snuck up on him.
That's especially funny too because I think in the Famicom version, I'm going through it now because I heard that a certain strat works and I wanted to try it and I put a save state right before him, but I didn't even talk to him. Yeah. I just stepped in front of him and then and that's when it triggers his dialogue of like, so you've made it. It's like an event tile. It's not actually talking to him. So you stand in front of him, he starts talking to you, and then you get a preemptive strike.
Yeah.
He stumbled.
Well, it's like when you're about to, you're squaring up with someone. You're like, I'm gonna punch you in now.
It's the lightning from Final Fantasy 13 strat of just screaming preemptive strike.
Now I may not be. Usually, obviously, in this podcast, we like to go a little bit deep with mechanics. We like to get a little goofy with it, right? Kind of give too much information for the vibe of the battle. I did not do my due diligence on the Emperor because the first thing I did was equip Furion and Leon with the Blood Sword, and I spent 2 rounds in attacking, and the game was over. So, like, what does the Emperor do?
So the
he
Emperor
just dies,
notably, the Emperor notably is the ruler of hell. So you would think, okay, he's undead. Nope, he doesn't have the undead condition on his like coding, so that's why you can use the blood sword to just do like quad 9s. And apparently I was in the same boat, Curtis. I did kind of read up a little bit on it and just like saw like what strategy, and it's like, I'll just kind of read here. It is advised to emphasize evasion rather than raw defense. So already I'm at a disadvantage. Corey's giving thumbs up. But yeah,
good here.
the Emperor has extremely high attack power, and the number of hits can inflict major damage, even if a character is like wearing all the Genji equipment. And I think he also drains you, right, with his attacks. So he'll regain all the HP that he's doing to you. So like one of the strategies I saw is just to kind of put everyone who like doesn't have like the best evasion in the back row and just have someone kind of tanking in the front and have them all cast Osmos on him to completely drain him of his HP so he can't do his magic attacks. And you can also use like Blink and some other status effects to make sure that you're like really minimizing the damage that he can do. But again, like who's gonna actually do that when you just have 2 free blood swords? Even 1 blood sword is
definitely
enough.
the way to go.
I was not aware of the blood sword kind of thing, so I actually struggled a little bit with it. Like I was never at risk of dying, but it really took me a long time to finish him off because he's very resistant to physical attacks.
Yeah.
And so I only had 2 characters that had like really leveled up magic, and so with like Leon and Guy, I'm just like hurling items at him that are doing fucking nothing. And I'm just like, so I only have 2 people that can do any real damage to this guy.
His battle sprite varies a lot between versions I'm looking at. It's really cool.
It's a really cool looking sprite.
I love how
really
he
cool
looks.
sprite.
He's really good design.
One last thing I'll say about the mechanics of the fight is I think in my head I was expecting like, okay, Ultima isn't super amazing on normal enemies, but maybe like it's designed, it's sort of like the Master Sword for an Ocarina of Time. Like it does extra damage to Ganon, right? It does extra damage to the final boss. So I was ready to bust it out. Fucking like did less damage than it does on normal enemies. And I was like, I really fucked myself here.
I will say the PlayStation and Game Boy Advance sprite for the Emperor, not as cool. Cool.
Where he's got legs?
Where he's got legs. Get those out of
this
here.
man doesn't need legs.
You don't need legs.
Astaroth or whatever his name was doesn't need legs. This guy doesn't need legs.
Okay,
I love how beautiful he is.
How many iterations of... Okay, it's time for leg watch, all right? We did a John watch, time for leg watch. How many final bosses in Final Fantasy have legs? So Chaos has legs, right? But Mateus, canonically, no legs. I don't count the PlayStation. Doesn't
no
count.
one counts the PlayStation.
Cloud of Darkness, no legs. I'm saying final boss, like final boss. So Zeromus, no legs, right?
I would say Sephiroth, no legs, because
at
final
some point
boss
no legs?
loses the legs.
No
No, he
legs?
has the legs.
However, I mean, you could say the Omni-Slash part is the final boss.
That's true.
That's a
That's
script.
true.
No, that's a scripted win. That doesn't count.
You're
That's
right,
a
you're right.
fucking
That doesn't
glorified cutscene.
I agree. No legs. Final Fantasy V is X-Death. Now, there are like 4 parts to X-Death, but doesn't walk on the legs. Doesn't like use them as like grounding. So I'm going to say no on X-Death, right?
No, I'm pushing back on that.
Oh, you're gonna push back
having
on
legs
X-Death?
that don't work is still having legs.
Well, hold on. Let me look at the sprite for X-Death. Or specifically Neo X-Death.
There is a way that you can
Neo
actually
X.
make Mateus, the Emperor, have legs. And that is by turning him into a fucking toad and watching him hop away.
Shit.
Can you really?
Alex,
Yeah,
I have a better musical sting for the leg watch. You just got to play a quick 5-second clip of ZZ Top's legs.
Actually, hold on just a second.
Doesn't Rod
because
Stewart also have a song about legs?
I'm not ready to let
hot
go
legs. Hot legs as well.
I don't see any legs in the Neo Death.
So
X-Death.
he only has implied legs because the
He's like
back,
a Twitch streamer, implied legs, but you can never be sure.
yeah, the backmost flesh character, like the one on the very, very corner of the screen, has like robes covering up their midsection down. So technically, no legs. So thus far, we're 7 Final Fantasies in. Kefka has legs. So 7 Final Fantasies in, 2 legs.
No
And boy,
legs
does he
implies
have
no
legs.
feet, so I don't think Miyazaki, who created Dark Souls, had any kind of respect for any Final Fantasy games, because that man loves feet.
Now, FF8 question: do we count all of the forms? I think only the final form should count.
Yeah, I think
Ultimacia.
you're
The
probably
Ultimacia.
right.
So no feet. Necron, all the rest of a body, no feet. So we're already 9 Final Fantasies in. Only 2 of the final bosses have legs. 10, no legs. He's just a bug. Well, does the bug's legs?
He's a bug.
He's a bug. Are those legs?
Yeah, legs.
They're grabbers.
Are
fingers
they
for all
even?
that.
Because he does. Are those for the purpose of crawling?
All I can say for sure is that Final Fantasy 13, no legs.
No legs. Final Fantasy 12 once was a person with legs, but when you fight them as the final boss, no legs. And
What does this say deeper in a psychological kind of capacity?
These games don't have legs. So, okay, 15 does have legs.
Nomura's ableist, and he considers anyone with working legs to be a villain. Curtis,
So-
does your VTuber have legs?
My VTuber does have legs.
It's true.
It's true. They are there.
If
There
there's
goes
all
your
this about
chances of being a
legs,
Final Fantasy super boss.
I have a lot of questions about this because we're really through the looking glass here, and there's no legs. But importantly, why does Lulu need that many belts? Because belts are ostensibly
Maybe she
a
has
product
all
of
the extra
having-
legs.
Yes.
She has a leg that's visible.
Have we
in
seen
her
both
game
of
model.
Lulu's legs?
Yeah, we only know the one exists.
I can say for a fact that her game model only shows her thigh, like one thigh, so we don't even know.
I have a follow-up question, and why do you know that?
Just Alex
For,
tilting the model
academic,
back.
academic.
It's for Twitch emotes I was making. Remember that
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
her spitting fire for B's stream?
I personally know that Alex would not be doing that for like a pervert sort of way, but for the
Listen,
listener.
I turn off my mods before
Before starting a Street Fighter tournament with Chun-Li.
Curtis walks in. He's like, Alex, are you still playing with your virtual dolls? Like, they're 3D models.
This is
But-
art. Okay.
So I'd like to just close that by saying, out of 15 Final Fantasy games. Well, really 13 because I'm not counting 11 or 14. But out of the 11 Final Fantasy games, only 3 final bosses have legs because I do not respect the Emperor with legs. That's not how the Emperor looks. Get him out of here.
Emperor's new legs.
The Emperor's new legs.
I was trying to do the Toad strat. I have leveled up Toad to level 6. I even went so far as to use like a Sage's Wisdom or whatever to get Maria's stat to 99 for the battle.
Yeah.
Was not able to do it in enough time before just fucking outright killing him, so...
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this boss. I think it probably, much like everything in Final Fantasy II, on paper, it's probably a lot more interesting of a fight than in practice. But I find it interesting that you can just cheese like with the blood sword and all of that. So
I think it's worth acknowledging like that. I don't remember what it looked like in Final Fantasy 1, but the fact that they make him look huge, right? The fact that he's like I know in the Famicom version, like he actually is really big, but in the Pixel remaster, he's like partially submerged, like climbing out of a hole. Like it does make him sort of tower over you, and I feel like they're able to sell the size difference like pretty effectively, and that's kind of cool. And it's an innovation that they did, maybe, you know, that became a staple of later games, that the final boss is like just comically large.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
I think I can't remember specifically because this is going back many months, but in my first playthrough of this on the Pixel remaster, I like accidentally did the blood sword strat. Like I forget how I like got into that position. I think I was just like I actually think I remember. I was looking at the different swords before getting in there to be like, oh, okay, well, let me see the different damage values. We just got like the Masamune and all of that. And I think I equipped the blood sword because I'm like, I've never used this. How is it? And I saw like the damage thing. And then I was like, oh, damn, that sucks. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try it in battle. And I think I was trying it in earlier battles, just random encounters and getting like no damage. I was like, this thing sucks. And then I still had it equipped when I fought the Emperor and I just did quad 9s. And I was like, what the fuck?
Also, I mean, his
awesome.
character design, at least in the remaster, is pretty cool. Like, it's very subtle tentacles on his like head, and
he's got like
tentacle
dragons
ears
fucking coming out of his head.
Yeah,
he kind of looks like
I consider
Dusa.
his Theorhythm design the canonical version.
Yeah, the chibi version.
Yeah, the
it's like,
chibi little Dusa.
It's cool. It's like partially looks dragon-esque. Part of it is like Cthulhu. Part of it is just like, you know, the idea of an empire having its tentacles everywhere. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of cool little symbolism with his character design.
Symbology.
Did you almost say
Yeah.
symbology?
No, symbolism.
I did.
He has a spear. That shit's fucking tight.
Yo, that is a cool ass looking spear.
He's got a third eye.
Well, actually, it could just be like a stave, I suppose, with like a jewel on top. I guess that's up for
Big ol' mace
interpretation.
morning star.
I don't know
No,
how
just
I
a mace.
bugged this out in the NES version, but the last hit that I did on him was with Guy, and where it usually says like how many hits you got or something above the damage that you do, it just says 2.
Just the letter 2. It doesn't even say 2 hits. It's just 2.
The famous
letter
letter 2. Yeah.
You have a lot of HP.
Oh yeah, no, I made sure to get a lot of HP. And with Guy, he was just kind of like the main target and did not have a lot of defense or evasion, so he was constantly just getting the shit kicked out of him and leveling up. Guy has 6,949 hit points at the end of my playthrough on NES.
Who would win, an emperor with 3,432 HP or some guy? So considering how often like scary, beautiful clown men are like the like main villain in so many Japanese IPs, like do we know the origins? Like why does that keep like I've been rewatching Hunter x Hunter, and like Hisoka is another character like that, like unknowable, beautiful, terrifying clown men are just like very common.
Girahim in Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
I think they just happened to.
I was thinking Emperor knew how to do his makeup.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I mean, he's fierce. His face beat.
I think they've just tapped into like the innate human need for a sexy clown to bust it down sensual style.
I
raise a
think
good
like, yeah,
point.
there's nothing more intense than being like fearing for your life while being incredibly turned on.
So we beat the Emperor, and in the Famicom version, he just has like one line of dialogue: "Unbelievable, defeated by you twice. What are you?" And then he just dies.
He says,
"Get wrecked." He does say "Ugh" after that. It's true.
And
then
Furion just
Furion-
says, "Let's get out of here."
He's more pissed off than he is like afraid of what of dying. He's
he's just like, "You
"Ugh, unbelievable."
Pixel Remastered does say defeated by insects by like you.
Okay.
Not once but twice, which is nice little flair.
Beelzebub strikes again.
Yeah, Beelzebub just sitting in the corner like, the fuck, dude? Jesus.
I'm right here." That's great. But the scene like fades out and immediately fades up in Finn Castle, right? Like we're in the throne room, and the party approaches Hilda and Gordon. Hilda comes off the throne and says, "You've made it back." And Gordon says, "Congratulations." And then Paul walks up to us and says, "Wow."
Congratulations.
Yeah, he says, "Wow, you're either brave or just lucky. Take care." And actually what's happening is like,
Which is a
basically, like-
weird sentence. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that those things aren't mutually exclusive. He could, like, it would make sense if he said, "You're either strong or just lucky." And I'd be like, all right, I can give you that. But it's like, no, I mean, we've gone everywhere in this world. We have been nothing but... you can say a lot of shit about us. You can't say we're not brave.
I'm confused. When Furion's like, "Well, that's done. Let's get out of here." Like, Pandemonium replaced Castle Palamecia when the Emperor like rose from the dead and took the throne, right? So like, is that still there? Like, is it just like a hell castle now just in the world?
Yeah, I have to assume that like the reason that Furion is like, "Let's get out of here," is because the castle is coming apart, but it never like shows that. It never implicitly states that like, yeah, the castle is being destroyed. He's just like, let's go home.
I assume they just cast teleport.
Yeah. I was going to say, it doesn't really go into how they got out of there. And I'm like, oh, wait, they do have warp and teleport. So,
Yeah,
but if they didn't,
it's true.
I guess, they probably just walked back. I mean, if you just killed the Emperor of Hell, maybe the demons would be like, "Oh, we're so pissed off and we're going to like get revenge." Or maybe they're just like, fuck it, whatever, you guys can leave.
Let me read from the Pixel Remaster script instead, because there is more dialogue and more characterization to it.
Okay,
from the fan.
before you do that, I do want to say that after Paul says that and he's making his exit on the Famicom one, he kind of just walks past you and is walking away, and he does a quick little spin. He does a quick little twirl on the red carpet as he's walking out.
Which they bring
like,
back
it's so
for
good.
they do it in 4 a lot. Which I know, like, that's like one of the actions that the characters will do if they're shown to be like kind of jovial or whatever. Is like when they walk away or go somewhere, they do a little twirl, and I was like, "Oh, that's the origin of the twirl."
That's
so
like the
good.
clock. That's the tapping of their heels or whatever.
Yeah, you know what?
It's the,
I will
the
say
cool
that-
cape flow thing that Vincent does in Dirge of Cerberus. Where he, like, he throws his cape.
One thing I think about a lot actually is like you know how like the indie scene I feel like has a lot of good like RPGs, like classic RPGs now that are coming out that are made by like small dev teams. One thing I think about a lot of times is how good Square was doing with emoting characters like that, because when people make new games, they have to kind of consider that, like, do you want to put in new animations because the hardware can actually handle it? Do you copy off of old Square animations? And I feel like even comparatively to similar games that come out now, like, there's so much emotion in motionless sprites, like ones that don't have like, they're only like 8x8 pixels or whatever, but they have like a lot of emotion to them. So like showing that Paul is like flippant and silly by doing just like a quick 360 rotation before he walks out, it delivers so much character about who he is in the least amount of motion. I think is very cool.
It's really good.
I'm looking at the remaster, and does he do a twirl or does he just look back?
He might just look back. That's what Layla does when she leaves. She just kind of slowly turns around and looks back. So
yeah, there's like a pause at the top of it. I think it's just like, he's like, "Oh, you jerks, I'm out of a job," and then he's like,
but I really love them.
Yeah.
I do like that. I think it's in the Pixel remaster when they're talking about how Palamacia or whatever, one of the castles is impossible to get into, and they say like, oh, it's impregnable or whatever, and Gordon's just like, luckily Paul doesn't know the meaning of the word, and I'm like, damn, dude.
Got his ass. So yeah, let me go into the dialogue that's actually in the Pixel remaster because it's a little bit more detailed. So when we get there, all of our characters who are still alive are there, and Hilda says, "It's finally over, isn't it? It was a long struggle, but with the Emperor gone, we've nothing left to fear. Thank you. With all my heart, I thank you." And Gordon gives his. He says, "With the combined strength of Kashan and Finn, we will build the kingdom anew. Together, Princess, we will create a kingdom even fairer than the old. Though once a coward, I now stand here a new man. I have all of you to thank for that. You have my deepest gratitude. I'm sure Scott is smiling down on me from above." So that's nice. It acknowledges Scott.
And Paul's like, "Look at you. Do you realize what you've done?
Yeah.
Who am I supposed to steal from with the Empire gone? You put me out of a job. Well, I guess I'll have to start stealing from you. Better watch your backs."
Yeah, Paul, what the fuck?
The heel turn. He doesn't do a full twirl, but he does do the heel turn at the end in the Pixel remaster.
I do like it's very tongue in cheek of just like it's this extremely confident fighter and like thief and stuff, and he's like, "How am I supposed to play a living in peacetime? This is horrible." Like it's a really funny gag.
Layla comes up to the party and says, "You sure showed him, Furion. You're every bit the bloke I pegged you for.
Nice.
If you ever feel like trying your hand at pirating, what? Your next battle's already begun, Furion." And then we have
like an NES, she just says, "You did great. Keep in touch."
Yeah, and then Nellie's here. Remembered Nellie, who we had so many great adventures with.
Yeah, we talked about Nellie Gate and who that woman was.
That's
right. Oh, Curse, I think you skipped a line where he said, "What? Did not sit with you, Maria?"
Oh, okay. It's not in the script. It's not in the script, Alex.
It's on the script.
Is it? I'm looking right now.
Yeah, it's there.
You see the sea. She is like a woman.
Maybe it just didn't load right.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Wait. Oh, it popped up and then it disappears.
Damn. Fix your site.
Fix your site, every FNFF.info. Call it out. Come on the podcast.
Defend yourself.
But yeah, she's like kind of like implied that Maria is like maybe a little possessive of Furion now.
Yeah.
Just protecting him.
So Nellie's here. She says, "You did it. I'm sure my dad's happy for you too, up there above the clouds. I'm going to be working here, serving the princess. I just want to do whatever I can to help out." And those are like,
we see a flicker of Joseph behind her.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
it's a ghost.
Very,
Force ghost.
Very kind of end of Star Wars again.
Yeah,
a few different Star Wars, I guess, at once, like the trophy room plus like end of.
I'll get into that. There's a lot more than just that.
my favorite king, fucking Guy. He says, "War finally over." Sure is, Guy. You legend. Love you.
He has such
Said
a
it better
way
than
with
John
words.
Lennon ever could.
So Maria's like, "Oh, we can all live in peace again, right, Leon?" And Leon like kind of steps away and is like, "There's no going back, not for all of us." And so he has to be like,
"This is such a Cecil ending."
I must regain my honor.
And Maria's like, why? Well, why can't you come back with us?
It's okay. All the cities have been demolished, and no one will remember you.
And Maria asks Furion to stop him, and Furion's like, "Leon is right. We've been through too much, and I cannot stop him. But we'll meet again." And Leon walks out of the picture. He walks out of the screen, and so he leaves the party at the very end.
Leon, you may be a war criminal, but don't worry, you can still be a problematic fave.
And then as
Vegeta type.
Yeah, and then Furion says, "We should be going too." And then as the party leaves the throne room, we see the Force ghosts of all the different characters who have been in our party and gotten killed over the course of the game.
What do you think the implication of "we will meet again" is? Like, for me, it felt like, they're like
Final Fantasy 2 too.
Yeah,
I just mean hey, come back when you're ready, and also you better be on our fucking side next time we see you, kind of thing.
It's a little threatening. When he says that, I agree. It doesn't have a nice wrap up. emotionally for them.
Yeah.
Which I think is good, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
I thought
it's
that
cool.
was a very, like, brave decision to be like, oh, they're not friends, like, at the end. Like,
and
we
it's-
are not.
it's this
someone-
reminder-
Yeah, like it's good that he wasn't just forgiven for his crimes, because like Maria was straight up just like, oh, we must still be under the Emperor's spell or whatever. Like, that's the only reason my brother would do this. And then we meet up with him, and he's like, he had motivations of being like, no, I'm going to be the Emperor now. Like, I'm fully in on this.
Yeah.
It also taps into kind of a lot of the themes of this game, right? Like the tragedy that comes with war and the scars it leaves behind. You know, like this world is not fine. They just ended the immediate threat, but like all the towns are still destroyed. You know, like thousands are dead. All of your friends, like they show you a bunch of ghosts, right?
Yeah.
Like it's brutal.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's all people that didn't really need to die and did, you know. I mean, like they died in service of trying to make the world a more peaceful place. This is the peace that all warriors strive for, you know. But yeah, it's melancholy.
And I think that's like one of the strengths of the storytelling in this game too, right? Is that like I wouldn't call this game dark, but I would call it dry, or like very like sober. Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of fanfare to the violence, and even like the drama has this amount of like realism to it, I guess, where like things are short, quick, and cold in the world of Final Fantasy 2, and you just move on. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like life continues. You just have to be okay with things. And I think that the ending like continues with that theme that like life is hard. Like there are no easy answers to any of this stuff, but it's not a big theatric fanfare. It's just
it's not It's not a big happy ending. And I wonder too how much of this was intentional in terms of just like at the time, and the main like I guess competitor RPG at the time was Dragon Quest, which I haven't really played those games, or Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, whatever. But I imagine that those games are a lot lighter, a lot more, you know, lighthearted, a lot more like fun themes and everything. And I would imagine that most of the endings in that are kind of just like, you know, like a big happy ending of just like, hey, like, you know, everything's like fine now. Like the you know, I'm not speaking from experience on it, but I feel like it was the development. What I know of it is that they were kind of consciously being like, let's not do that. Let's do something that's more bleak.
Well, I mean, even with the first one of the reasons that it's they've said that they hired Yoshitaka Amano for the art, right, is that it was more mature.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to give it like a bit more of that vibe instead of like a childrenish game.
It was a very interesting choice to have the actual setting of the game be during a war. Right? Like the entire setting of the game is exploring life during a wartime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good. I really like the vibe that they went for with this game.
I also want to revisit a comment that Alex made about the final scene, like this like throne room and the Force ghosts and stuff. Like there is a lot of overlap in this game with Star Wars.
That's very Final Fantasy in general.
Yeah.
Where everything always is. There's no Biggs and Wedge in this game, but
there is a point.
But like, okay, so when this game was made, right, there was only 2 Final Fantasies. The first one, fairly generic, just trying to adapt Dungeons and Dragons to like a video game. But like, we've got a kingdom in rebellion to an oppressive empire led by a princess in exile. There's like a Dark Knight who is like a villain, and he's related to the main characters.
Yeah.
But he's also like a jobber for a more secretive dark sorcerer ruling the empire
blow up the
from
Death
behind.
Star, more or less.
There's a flying fortress of mass destruction that is undone by throwing something small into a tiny porthole. There's like a ragtag crew which unlocks ancient magic that can defeat the empire, and they're taught about it by a powerful sage who sacrifices himself.
Yeah, Yoda's in there.
And then like the Force ghosts at the end, like the fallen mentors after the post-victory celebration. Like they're really hitting like all the hits from you know, particularly from the first Star Wars movie, right? From A New Hope.
And Return of the Jedi had come out only like 4 years before this game, I guess. So it's still fresh in everyone's brain, I'm sure. I'm sure it was even a little
still
Return
within
of the
the
Jedi come out?
zeitgeist.
like 83.
Was it before or after this game?
Before.
Because like, yeah, if this game was made after Empire ends on this very grim, dark note, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that had a huge influence in the writing of this game.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, they've done explicit Star Wars references from that era of Star Wars as well. Like, you know, they didn't make a character named Jar Jar Binks or anything. You know, they made characters Biggs and Wedge. Like, obviously, the development team has some love for Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, as our party is kind of walking out and we see the ghosts, at least in the NES version, my screenshots for the Pixel remaster aren't loading for whatever reason, but Furion looks back and sees them all, and then they one by one disappear, and then Guy and Maria kind of turn and look at him, and they're like, hey, like, and he's just like, yeah, let's get going.
Yeah.
And then the John Williams score kicks in.
Yeah. And then we get an ending text scroll.
Which in the Pixel remaster is set at the Pandemonium entrance, which is interesting.
Oh, weird.
Really?
You see like a little pan up from like where there's like this unique screen where like it looks like we're beaming into like a crater at the entrance of the Pandemonium from the Jade Passage, but it like is doing a pan up on that screen again.
Yeah, it's just a black screen with white text in the NES version, and it just says, Scrappy Doo has been found dead in Miami. But no, it says, the war is finally over. The Emperor, the monsters plaguing the world, and Pandemonium had all vanished. Peace had returned once more. Time will heal the wounds of war, but no one will ever forget the young heroes who saved the world.
But I think it's interesting because the very last lines of Final Fantasy I were, but no one will remember the heroes who saved the world.
I was going to say, very fitting that they were nameless heroes in the first one, the Warriors of Light, but no one really knew anything that they did. And
they didn't remember them because they changed the timeline, so no one knew what they
exactly.
did.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And in this, it's just like, yeah, everyone's going to remember. Like, that's a really nice bookend, you know? And
I like... I think you skipped a line too that says that the wounds will heal and that the memory of the bitter days will fade.
The Pixel remaster, that's probably what it says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they specifically say that like the people will heal and recover from this and eventually forget that it ever happened, but the legend of the people who saved the world will never be forgotten.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool like message to end it with, right?
Sure.
Like, I don't know.
What is it in Sandlot? Heroes live forever, but legends never die. Or whatever.
The Great Bambino.
Second Sandlot reference in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is a good way to end that game. I also feel like, because the game, like I said, the game is not dark, right? And I feel like ending
it's
with
pretty dark.
Well,
I think it's pretty dark.
Again,
a lot of death, a lot of carnage. Half the world gets destroyed. Hell surfaces.
I mean this in like a melodramatic sense. It's not dark. Like it's not over the top sadness and grief. It's not a like Yoko Taro fucking Nier Automata like or whatever thing.
It's not FF4 where every town you go to is
light.
significantly worse off because you went there.
Well, every town in this game is gone now. So
yeah, but not really. Yeah, not. I don't know. I was gonna say it's not really our fault. We were actively fighting against them instead of just being like, we got to catch up to them.
Yeah, but ending it with a little bit more of a note of I don't even want to call it positivity. It's just kind of like a
hope,
sagely wisdom,
a new hope.
A new hope, you might say.
Hope, a new one even.
No, that's great. And if you are playing on the Famicom version, you just get the word Finn, and there's nothing else you can do. That's just the end of the
Castle
game.
Finn?
Castle Finn.
Oh yeah, there's the credits roll.
There's credits. Yeah, the credits roll, and it does show the
credits
faces.
roll are cute. It has like a little crystal ball that shows all the character portraits and you know the important stuff and all of that. And then it ends with just that crystal by itself, no faces in it, and just says the end.
Yeah.
I do like that in the Pixel remaster. It does say to the fans across the globe, both past and present, and to the crew who brought the originals to life, we offer our profound and heartfelt thanks. So
that's nice.
It's a nice little a little bumper before the Pixel remaster credits. It's nice.
Speaking through time.
And that, as they say, is FF2, baby.
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. That's FF2.
Unless you play the Dawn of Souls version.
Yeah, where you go into a location, I think, called Hope, and you get to have your teammates who were killed. And
yeah, and who knows, maybe at some point we'll do that, but I think we're probably ending the season here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've played this game at least one time too many.
So I know that we discuss this every single week, right? But how do y'all feel about Final Fantasy 2?
It's okay.
It's okay?
I think I liked one more.
Yeah.
I think it's weighed down a lot just by the, typical elements of game design of its era. You know, like I really, even with all the, I said earlier in the episode, but like even with all the quality of life improvements, you can't fix the malicious dungeon design and just the way that the pacing is really strange, and like it's just, you know, it's an old game. They really tried a bunch, and like I think what I respect from it the most is like how much stuff they invented in a single stroke that became core elements of like the series. Particularly like the concept of a rotating party with every character having a backstory that's relevant to the plot. And that there's like a twist and revelation about some of the characters, like that.
Is that kind of a Dragon Quest thing where they kind of go through like little vignettes of like storytelling?
Dragon Quest 4 did that, but I don't think Dragon Quest 4 is out yet at this point. I kind of feel like that might have been a response to Final Fantasy 2. At this point, you do have Phantasy Star, which has a little bit of that, but only a little bit of it. Like you get a little story for everyone, like just enough to be like, okay, these are not nameless, faceless people. They actually like exist in the world. But I think at least for home console, this is probably the most detailed as far as characterization goes for any RPGs. Obviously, there's like PC games, right, that are out. There's Japanese home computers that have RPGs and visual novels and such at this point already that have very complex stories and like stories that hold up today really well. But I think for like a home console that's, you know, at least in America, very much marketed to children. I mean, not that we got FF2, but I think this is probably the deepest it goes on that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think.
And I mean, just the execution too. Like I said before, but the design. I mean, I'm seeing the remaster, but like you've been fawning over the little elements like falling snow and stuff. Like there is a lot of care that went into this game in terms of artistic direction that, you know, I have to respect.
I that's one thing. Like having played the entirety of the Famicom version of 2 and some of 3 now. These games look better and better every time, and I like comparatively to like RPGs on the NES, like the department doing graphics, they step it up every single game on the NES for real, and like it's so impressive to me. And this one is definitely that first sign of like, ooh, look at them. They're flexing a little bit. They like take the technology, they take a lot of the sprites and the tiles that they've already had for the first game, and they just spend their time adding like and creating new things. And I think that's like very, very impressive. I think that's maybe my favorite part of the Famicom version is the look and feel of the game comparatively.
Yeah.
You don't have the separated windows. You remember how like FF1 had the windows where like you have your party window and then your enemy window, and like in this they exist in a real space together where the enemies are like clashing with you physically. When you win, you run past them, right? Like it's fun.
It's also kind of a thing where it's like going from 1 to 2, just in the same way that you're describing, Curtis. It's like it's really amazing that just something as simple as like, oh yeah, you don't just have like the same sprite for each of your nameless characters. You have unique sprites, not even just of like you know, your main party that you have, but like there's these revolving characters and stuff. And there's, I think my answer on like how I feel overall about Final Fantasy 2 is I think it is like a very good sum of its parts, and I think a lot of its parts are really good, but a lot of its parts are also really, really bad. And I think I've said it a million times, but Pixel Remaster is like the way that I will be recommending people experience this game, because I think it's worth experiencing. I think the story is really good. I think the characters are really good. I think it was really, really ambitious, but I think there's just even with like trying to go back and be like, well, at the time, like that only kind of gets me so far. And a lot of it kind of just became like, it felt like a slog at a lot of points where it was just like, oh, okay, well, I can do this, but it becomes a trial in patience and not a trial in difficulty necessarily. Like it kind of just had some encounters that would just be like, not even fuck you difficulty, just like, oh, I got unlucky, so I have to start over. And like in the Famicom version, you know, having to do multiple runs and everything, like to me, it kind of feels like the same reason that my brain doesn't really work in terms of like hitless kind of runs in games where you're like, oh, okay, well, I have to just go slow and careful and meticulous and like make sure I'm doing everything right and draw these enemies out with like a bow and arrow so that I can avoid getting hit and stuff. It's like, no, I like to get into things things and get dirty, and I like to make mistakes, and I like to not be punished for those mistakes. And in this game, it feels like you get punished for not even making a mistake. Like we've talked about the RNG seeds and how it's like, oh, you can just get really unlucky and have 6 Marlboros in an encounter that could otherwise have just 1 Marlboro, which is really easy to deal with. And
an enemy might cast Toad and just hit all 4 members with it, and you didn't get to move, but now it's game over.
I think I think it's absolutely a feat that the developers were able to create this game and get so ambitious with it coming from the first one. And I think that a lot has to be said about that. But I think a lot of, with that in mind, it missed the mark in a lot of important places. And, the way that I will want to experience this game if I ever play it again is literally just like exploiting all the systems and just like try and max out stats as fast as I can and just kind of run through instead of actually just, organically playing through it and stuff, because I don't think, the more you know about this game, the more interesting it kind of becomes. And if you're going into it like you do in most Final Fantasy games where you learn as you go along, it really doesn't feel that great to do.
I think the most fun thing about this game, I complain about pacing, but I meant more in the story sense, because the remaster does pace the leveling and difficulty really well, and it hits that Final Fantasy goodness sweet spot where like you don't even know when it happened, but suddenly you're really strong. Like that is the best feeling in a Final Fantasy game. And when you're fighting an entire
group of bosses that you struggled with and not really having too much of a problem, being like, oh, okay, nice. I see where I am now. That also happens in the NES version. It's just, I've said my piece on it all for sure.
I will say in the story that like, part of it is like growing pains, and like I feel like some of the emotional beats the story wanted to tell just didn't really hit the right way for me. Like certain moments that should have been dwelt on were gone really quickly, and other moments like it felt like it was just like challenge, go here, go here, go here, go here. There wasn't like a lot of up down like climax and denouement. Like it didn't really hit. Like I felt like that it was kind of stilted in terms of what they wanted it to do. But
would have wanted to spend more time with Sid, more time with Joseph for those like characters dying to like feel more impactful.
I do though really like kind of almost as like a history exploration or like an archaeological thing, like seeing this is a prototype for better Final Fantasies, right? Like you can see them trying a bunch of stuff, and it's like really exciting to see like the proto version of a lot of like elements of games that I'm very fond of, right? So that was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting rid of levels, which I think some people maybe retrospectively compared to like, oh yeah, like things that we can take for granted in games like Oblivion or Elder Scroll games. Like, oh yeah, levels just aren't a thing in this game.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool.
There is also like, speaking of the pacing, there is an element of like, there is a little bit of story at the beginning, and then there are dungeons, baby.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of story at the end. So it's very much like chapter 1, you get like, you kind of like lays out the story, who everybody is or whatever. And then I would say like, you get there's a smattering of like world events until you get to like the Dreadnought. And then it is very much like, go to this dungeon, go to this dungeon, go to this dungeon, go to this dungeon. And like
you come to a new town and you want to be like, oh, let's check out this town. But like all the NPCs in the town basically say the same thing. And it's just like, they're just a vehicle to get you to the next dungeon. And even when they're going to storm Castle Finn,
sometimes literally a vehicle to get you to the next dungeon.
Yeah.
But like, there's like that optional area with the camp where they're like, congratulations, you're going to storm the castle.
Yeah.
And like,
right,
I felt like that would have been a great moment to have a little break where we could have a little side story or just a dialogue or something just to break it up a little bit and get you ready for the attack. Or
I also wonder how much
they
of
do
that
in later games,
I wonder how much of that comes with just the limitations at the time. Like they got really ambitious with just the password system, and the inventory is super small on the NES cart, or the Famicom cart, I should say.
Yeah.
So I imagine that I think that like there's also that book that they wrote about the story of it. So I feel
true,
like
that's true.
with that, I feel like they had this really robust story that they wanted to tell, and we kind of only have the cliff notes of it. You know, it's kind of
Almost
like a
like Dark
reverse
Souls.
Elden Ring sort of
That's
situation.
also
where-
something that 15 took from it. It took being a bad game.
You have to watch
and
the anime.
You have to watch the anime. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
What's
think
funny is, you know, Curtis, you said like, oh, there's a lot of story in the beginning and then a lot of story at the end. What's so funny is I saw the opening and it was just like a lot of text crawling and I was trying to absorb it all, but it's like all new information. And then there's like these orphans and they're dead. And then the characters start talking. And I had already forgotten that there was supposed to be 4 orphans by that point. Like literally right out the gate, I'm like, okay, here are my characters. And like there's 3 of them. And then they keep talking about this Leon guy. And I'm like, I guess we'll find out who that is eventually. So like it really undercut a lot of the like reveal for me.
Yeah. I think it mostly comes down to limitations, and then there's also the larger discussion of like in a remaster, what do you do? Do you just make it kind of like as one-to-one as possible to have the integrity? Do you fix certain systems that didn't work in the original? Do you add additional dialogue, which obviously they did, but you know, you don't really want to go too far away from the source material. So I think it's just kind of a larger discussion. I guess my big takeaway is that I am an enjoyer of Final Fantasy II. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say I am a defender of it, but I will absolutely recommend the Pixel remaster.
I love the Pixel remaster. I thought it was a great game. Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree.
Learn to speedrun it, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking
there
about
you go.
doing that this season and didn't.
Our good friend Ninnies has been, I know, wrote a guide for the Pixel remaster.
Cease is a speedrunner of it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's.
sounds like everybody's kind of in the same ballpark where we like appreciate what the game is, and it's not even then it's not a bad game. Like even without the appreciation, it's still decent.
No Zelda 2.
Yeah, being critical of something, even 30 years later or whatever, does not mean that it is a bad thing. Like being critical is a good thing, and you can love things and still be critical of them.
I disagree. I think you have to hate it if you're critical of it. But no.
Well, it's very black and white, Carl.
Wow, how about that? That was a whole season of the Every F and FF podcast.
Sure was.
Is that our shortest season so far?
It was
I don't
really
know.
short,
I think
right?
so. I think it might
The end
be.
kind of just runs up at you.
Felt longer with the recording schedule, but that was not really anyone. That was no one's fault, and that just makes it harder for me to remember if this was longer or shorter than the FF1 season.
Yeah, the OG Final Fantasy, we did 13 episodes.
Nice. 13, you say?
So yeah, this is I guess if you don't count Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, true. That was our
yeah,
shortest
yeah.
season. That was our longest episode. Let's be real.
But in every FNFF podcast fashion, of course, the last episode of a season, we have to announce what the next season will be. And so I have discussed with Corey off of Mike to ask Corey if he knows what the next season is, and he doesn't. So Corey, announce to everybody what's the next season of the Every FNFF podcast.
I like that this gives Corey all the power, because whatever he says, we have to do. That's the rule.
Can you deduce what it will be?
Oh yeah, it's got to be Final Fantasy IX, the best one.
That is a good answer for best one, honestly.
It's one away
You're
from the
close.
best one.
I will say you're close.
Am I off by 1?
Now that's an interesting.
Now define one.
Define one. Yeah, in this case, sort of.
Okay, so I'll give you a hint, Corey. The game that we're doing is a Final Fantasy game, and it has Roman numerals.
That narrows it
in
down a little.
It has Roman numerals in it, and those Roman numerals
Or X2.
are X, I, and I. Can you guess what we're doing next?
Wait, does it have 2 eyes in it?
He just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
he
did
did
you
just
say?
say it.
It's X. It's
X2.
Yeah, we're doing X. Yeah, we're doing Final
Yeah, yeah.
Fantasy X too.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Curtis, no, it is stylized with X-2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's like
so aptly put it the
Arabic
letter
numeral.
2.
No,
the
but-
letter 2. Oh my, that's why it did it when you fought the Emperor. That's why it had the letter 2.
Oh yeah,
It knew.
So
it knew.
Yeah, well, you finished Final Fantasy 2-1, and now you're going to Final Fantasy 10-2.
Yeah.
Of course,
so
yeah, it just
simple.
makes sense. You know, it's the
It's
year
like
of the
that
sequel,
weird-
baby.
We're inventing the next Twitter. It's X2.
It's like that weird clue that the like Deku Scrub gives you in Ocarina of Time. Where
Yeah,
he's
23 is
just
number
remember, 2, 3, 1. 23 is number 1. And I literally still do not understand what that was supposed to mean, because that is not the sequence.
I think it was honestly a Michael Jordan reference. Number 23 is number 1.
I mean, the Deku Scrubs are big into the ball.
There's, ball is life.
Like, literally not the
Ball
order.
is life to them. Yeah.
I forget. That reminds me. Two of the people on this podcast currently will like this joke. I remember I was studying the kanji for ball, and I just sent it to our friend Robbie, and I just said, "Yo, I love that this kanji means life."
That's awesome.
Anyway.
But yeah, so we are doing a 10-2 next time. So we kind of figured that...
we hope you'll join us. We hope you'll enjoy
Going
it.
back while I still remember 10 vaguely.
That was the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So we still roughly have 10 on the brain and all the plot points. So we were like, we should probably go ahead and do it before it oozes out through our ears and we just don't remember anything in the game. Which I know, Carl, you've talked about possibly in your own time doing a 10 playthrough to remember everything. And I was thinking it too, because I was like, oh, I don't have any of the achievements on on Steam for 10. Maybe this is a good time to do it.
It's looking real good on my Steam Deck right now. I could play it on Switch again, but that would involve me somehow deleting 250 save files that if I remember correctly is really hard to delete, so I might just do it on Steam Deck. But yeah, we figured, we did one of everyone's favorite final. We've been doing all the hits. We've recently done 13. We've recently done Dirge of Cerberus, which is a sequel. We've recently done Final Fantasy
which is a sequel.
Which is a sequel.
Which is a
everyone
sequel.
loves. And if I don't remember too much about when Final Fantasy X-2 came out, but I'm pretty sure everyone universally loved it and was very excited about it. And
I will say,
gonna
I
say?
think 10-2 is the most justified through time. It is
Nice.
It has received
fine
absolution over time more than any other Final Fantasy game where I think people liked it generally, but it wasn't beloved at the time, and I think it has survived maybe the best.
Most people that I knew who played Final Fantasy and loved Final Fantasy X were like, "Don't play 10-2, it fucking sucks. That shit's so lame." It's
I remember
dumb."
that being the case, yeah.
That was
But now,
the big thing.
Yeah, but now when I talk to anybody about it, they don't believe that anymore. They take it back. They say, I never said anything bad about 10-2. And it's like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
I want to say that I really appreciate that you guys go for exactly the games that I say to myself, I don't want to play that one, because I feel
season
extra
after this is
pressure
15,
to play
let's go.
them. You're getting me to play games that I had no intention of playing, and so it's actually really cool because if you guys just did all my favorite ones, then it's I don't know, I wouldn't be challenged to try out.
Yeah, we're in it for the long haul. We can't do
we need to know your opinion on a post Machina world, a world where Machina is now allowed back into.
We're not fucking Fleetwood Mac. We can't just release Rumors and have all of our fucking best songs on it, and then have a robust career
every episode
after
being
that.
about how we hate the other hosts.
Yeah, true. But no, we gotta do the veggies first. You gotta eat your vegetables before you get right into the dessert.
A lot less.
Well, I don't.
Also, we figured this out a week ago. we don't really super plan. We're just what do you guys want to do? Oh, let's do this.
It snuck up on us.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so one thing that we will have to decide in the interim is how we're going to do it, because it is a non-linear game. It is not straightforward. So my suggestion, and I think what we'll probably we'll post it in the Discord.
Shooting's pretty linear.
Say what?
Shooting's pretty linear, right?
Yeah. But I think I'll post it in the Discord.
Another third-person shooter.
It was the basis for Final Fantasy 13's battle system, so obviously it's a very linear game.
Yeah, of course.
I'll probably post it in the Discord, so join the Discord if you haven't already. But what I suggest that we probably will end up doing is following a 100% guide for it, so that we can hit all the different portions of the game. And I think because people like to play the game along with us, it'll probably be useful to post online on the Discord, hey, this is the 100% guide that we're using, so you can follow along with what we're doing, because it is very non-linear. It is all over the place.
Nice.
I've also ordered a copy of the Final Fantasy X-2 Scenario Ultimania Guide, so
Nice.
maybe that'll give me some direction of how to do it.
Yeah, didn't you say there's like 4 guides for Ultimanias for it or something?
I mean, again, I'm going to start collecting these Ultimanias like I did for the 13th season, because there's the Scenario one, and then there's an art one, and then there's the one for Last Mission, which is like add-on.
I've never played Last Mission.
Another one that came out for remaster.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've never played Last Mission. We'll have to do that for that season. But I'm very excited to get to it.
We already talked about Eternal Calm briefly when we did the 10 season.
That's true, yeah.
I know the bridging.
So Curtis, tell us where we can play this game.
Well,
on the Wonder Swan.
On the Wonder Swan. No, it is currently
Dreamcast only.
It's available for like...
You can use discount code EveryFNFF over at the steamaudible.com /
Damn, that's what we should be doing.
No, that would be smart.
AOL search keyword everyfnff.com.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's on all modern consoles, so you can obviously play the original PS2 version, or it is on your modern Xbox systems, your PlayStation's
The
Switches.
remasters, which
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
wanting to actually maybe play this on emulator or OG hardware, because I've noticed now in retrospect that I really like how the original character models looked.
Sure.
And like the remaster kind of made them either oversaturated or made look like Tidus, at least in 10. Looked like he kind of had a Botox done to his face. And kind of
I mean, he probably did,
character.
though.
That's true.
They're just being true to his character.
There's someone who's slowly modding the PS2 models back into the remasters, which is really cool. I'm really kind of intrigued by that.
I'm very excited to talk about it because, and I'm not gonna get into any of the reasons why right now because we're at the end of FF2. It's FF2 season, but a little snippet, a little preview of how the 10-2 season is going to go for me is it is going to be a lot of, isn't this the greatest thing ever? And then me going right into, and also this is awful. And so like, there's so much juxtaposition of just like, this is the perfect game, and why the fuck would they do this? It's terrible. Like all right next to each other, and it's such a playground of experience. It's so good.
So the whole game is just that sequence in Final Fantasy 13 where they go back to the moon world, and like it's like that weird speed racer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh god,
right.
yes, hell yeah.
I feel like playing 10-2, okay, is gonna be kind of like. It's going to be kind of like eating dirt, but every now and again, you get just a delicious bite of dirt, and you don't know when it's going to happen.
But what kind of dirt? the fancy store-bought dirt with all the minerals?
If I were to make an analogy, it'd be like eating dirt, but sometimes that dirt is delicious.
But sometimes it's...
I couldn't think of it. I was trying to think of like something that was layered, and then you could eat through layers of it, and like, you know what I mean?
It's like a tiramisu, but the first layer is like old and bad.
Yeah, or like it's like eating brown M&Ms, but a couple of them are rabbit turds, and you don't know which one's going to be it. You know what I mean? So you just got to go. You just got to get a handful of them and just be like, you know what? You take the good with the bad and go into it.
Nice. Well, look forward to that.
So you can look forward to eating rabbit turds next season.
Oh yeah.
It's like that dad who keeps getting gifted Ferrero shares are actually just like Brussels sprouts that have been dipped in chocolate by his son. So much so that when he actually gets some real Ferrero shares, he's been gaslit so much and like he's every single one with suspicion.
Well, does anybody have anything else to say about FF2?
No. No, and also never again.
Oh, we hardly knew ye.
Well, Corey, thank you so much for being on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, all the
course.
time.
What have you been up to lately? I know you've been going up in the world and city planning.
Yeah, I started a new job. I work at a transportation advocacy nonprofit now in New York. It's called Tri-State Transportation Campaign. So we mostly do, like, we're advocating for a more sustainable and more efficient and more equitable transportation network in the New York City metro area. So I'm doing a lot of work in New Jersey and actually the Philly area too. But right now we're working on a Vision Zero law in New Jersey. So at the state level, getting DOT to commit to zero traffic fatalities or serious injuries by 2040. And pass the state assembly unanimously. Super exciting.
Yo, that's amazing.
So yeah, we're hoping to get it into the state Senate during the lame duck, which is in like November. And if it doesn't pass, then we got to start all over. So if anyone's interested and they live in New Jersey, maybe call your state senator and tell them this is a good bill. It's Target Zero Commission. You can Google it.
Yeah, maybe threaten them a little too, you know?
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that I've learned, because I know I do advocate a lot, but I never saw myself as an advocate. I was more of a planning consultant, like a technical type person. But what I've learned is local politicians, like city council people and state representatives, state senators, like at the state level, no one like makes meetings with them. So if you call their office and we're like, hey, I care about this issue and I would like, I'm a resident, I want to talk to the representative, then you'll get a meeting, first of all, and like they will take you very seriously, because this issue must be really bad if like a rando constituent is calling me about it.
Oh, interesting.
And so like you actually have outsized influence, because no one ever calls their local politicians about anything.
Stop tweeting about it.
You might not meet with the actual person, but you'll meet with like their chief staffer, who is the person that does all the work anyway. So like that's definitely worth meeting with them anyway. So anyway, just I recommend it to folks, like organize with people, join an organization. Like that's really how democracy works. Like you get with an organization that has a lot of people, and then that way they know, oh, all of us want you to do this, and if you don't do it, we're going to tell all of our friends like that you didn't do it, you know?
And then they'll tell all of their friends, and then they'll tell all of their friends.
This is me doing that right now.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you've heard this, now you have to tell all your friends.
Yeah, of course.
Also, we're planning, the organization is turning 30 this year, and we're having a big gala in New York coming up in September. So, you know, if anyone wants to make a donation or, you know, attend the gala, you know, they're welcome to. So just check it out. It's tstc.org. Also just get involved in your local area and like make your world a better place.
It's tstc.org.
TSTC. Yeah. T's and Tom. Tri-State Transportation.
The cyclone has torn up all the roads. So this is our opportunity to build more walkable cities.
I mean, I could go on my soapbox as I always do, but like basically we're living through another epidemic, but this one's preventable, right? There's like literally surging fatalities on roads. In New Jersey, there are roughly 2 times as many traffic fatalities as there are murders. Jesus. But you never hear about it that way because they're just
completely
seen as normal.
Normalized. It's just...
But they're 100% preventable. Like every traffic fatality is technically preventable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like war. Just like Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah.
Playing Final Fantasy 2 is 100% preventable.
If you only were on here for the first episode.
You would have stopped us. All right.
You had all the clues.
Mr. Podcaster, I gave you the clues.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, just remember a better day is just a bike ride away.
Aw.
There you go. All right.
And I'd like to say I'd rather be fishing.
Well, Alex, would you like to go back to the way things once were?
Would you like to take us on the path to hell?
Would you like to show us your hidden room?
I already saw your. I guess it's fair. You got to see yours.
I showed you mine. Now you show me yours.
I showed you my hidden room. Please respond.
Well, thank you, Corey, again. And thank you, listener, for bearing through another season 7 of Every F and FF. Thank you again to Neither Round for the theme music and outro music. Unless I decide to tack on next season's outro music as a teaser.
We'll see.
Thank you to Nobuo Uematsu.
Nobi boy.
For the game music. He will not be joining us next season.
No, but the composer of
the Bouncer
Square's PS1 Racing Lagoon will be.
Fuck yeah!
How about that?
Thank you to the Gooch. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you are listening to us at your local podcast dispensary. You can call and text us at 530-MATERIA. That is 530-628-3742. You can find us at Every F and FF on the site formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
You got to X us at x.com.
I may ask the threads. I don't like it, but Just follow us on Instagram.
I
You can find
tried
us.
making us a threads for like nothing else, just squatting on the username, and I couldn't fucking do it because I already made a personal one, and
You have to
again,
log
just
out
for
and then
I tried.
I refuse
a
to
bunch.
log out. How dare you tell me to log
It
out?
took more than 5 minutes of me trying, and I was like, "Fuck this."
Hop into our Discord for all updates and complaints. And as always, their long struggle was finally at an end. The episodes, the video game coverage, the podcasts plaguing the world, all had vanished without a trace. Peace had returned once more.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks so much for
Bye.
listening, everyone. We love you.
Mwah.